it was constantly hammered. We've got to stop this. There's global terrorism, the weapons of mass destruction. Okay, you got to have an enemy. All right, it's the Islamophobe. Blah, blah, blah. So, what happens is just like happened in Vietnam. The Vietnam, you have to have them. They have to be demonized, and you can hear the rhetoric from Trump. The most evil, their empire. Well, who's really evil? And thank God, Professor Morandi said. He said, "quote We're looking at the Epstein class versus the moral resistance." Wow, that I hope people really understand the profound nature of what he said. How could someone walk in there and say, we have the moral high ground? Really, Mr. Trump? Really? Really? And I'll land it there.
Unfortunately, Andrew.
They can't.
Sorry, Beatrix, go ahead.
No, no, it's fine. I was going to say they can't say they've got moral high ground. And finish what you were saying, and then I'll go to some news.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, Andrew, if they can manipulate Muslims to hate fellow Muslims, it's quite easy for them to manipulate the West to hate Muslims. And you just need to look at, you spoke about Libya. That's one of the most dirtiest, disgusting civil wars that they created. And it's not really a civil war. I don't really call it a civil war. It's a manipulative war. But then look at Syria. Syria was always the outreach for the likes of Lebanon. When every time there was an Israeli aggression in Lebanon, people used to flee to Syria as a safe haven. But look what they've done to Syria. People literally hate each other for the sect or for what political faction they belong to or religion they belong to. It was never like that. The Syria that I knew and I used to go visit regularly, it was never like that. But they manipulated people using their manipulative tactics of religion and division for people to start hating each other, for Muslims to start hating fellow Muslims. So you can almost imagine what they can do with the likes of the West.
Exactly. And you'll find also people who have never traveled and they stay in their little circle. I'm relocated here. Long story short, to an area that I've never lived in before, and in the Midwest here. And my neighbor, and I'm very honest, he and his wife, they dated in high school, and they've never lived outside of the county. Okay, now imagine that. I have over literally. I did the math one time, and I'm in well over 60. I think it was 67 or something moves in my life, and I've been to what 20, 30, 20 some countries, and lived, not just visited. Hey, I bought a T-shirt. No, I lived in these countries, and when you get out and live among the people and see different things and live amongst them and read and really actually read, don't just, oh, I heard this on Fox News. No, but read material, read it, even if it's material that you may find objectionable, but just see what the mind thought is. Guess what? Your mind is like you're not looking at the world through a straw anymore, but you see a global perspective. Oh my God, what a difference it makes. So,
Right.
yeah, I'll land there. Sorry.
No, no, no problem. Listen, I just got a bit of news and I need to just keep jumping in. Guys, the YouTube stream is up. The new YouTube stream is up. We're going to put the post in the nest in a second, in a few minutes, but you can go ahead and join it. It's live and it's live on Suleiman's page. So the YouTube stream is up. I'm sorry the sound went earlier. Also, Qatar says it's intercepted a wave of missile attacks. They don't say from where. Iran strikes across the Gulf unlawful. Oh, what is this? Human Rights Watch. Human Rights Watch is saying that Iran strikes across the Gulf unlawful, endanger civilians, and this is Human Rights Watch. Human Rights Watch was probably very quiet during the genocide, so yeah. Um, this is funny. A growing number of supporters of Reza Pahlavi, this is the Clown Prince, have begun to lose faith in him as an alternative to the ruling establishment since the beginning of the US-Israeli war on Iran. Like, why did you guys have faith in him in the first place? Are you stupid? Like, the fact that you had faith in him makes me question you, never mind him. Anyway, they've now just started to lose faith in him. Like, imagine the crash that they're going to have if they had faith in him. Um, Israeli attacks have rained down on Beirut, 3 areas of Lebanon and Beirut. Sri Lanka's had to declare every Wednesday a holiday for public institutions to conserve fuel, as the island nation faces potential shortages stemming from the impacts of the war between US, Israel, and Iran. So Sri Lanka said every Wednesday is going to be a holiday. So people have to use less fuel. Hezbollah's been carrying out multiple attacks against the IDF Palmachim air base south of Tel Aviv. They're hitting air bases in Israel, bish bash bosh, boom boom, Tel Aviv. And apparently they used Pave, which is a long-range cruise missile, and Zelzal 2, which is another long-range artillery rocket.
Have they used them before, Beatrix? Was that the first time?
I don't know, because like they've got so many fancy things coming out. And who was it? Somebody on this space was saying that, like they haven't even come up. It was that brother, I think, that was on here this morning. Spotty, what was his name?
Well,
Snoopy.
there's 2 or 3. David C. talks about it. Inevitable has the details on it, and help me, there's another couple, 3, yes, but we have the evidence that no, they haven't even gotten into the high tech stuff yet.
Andrew, do you think that they're using these old missiles to drain the the air defense system?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. I thought so.
Yeah, absolutely. Because see, think about it. They use the old stuff to do 3 things. It's a 2-to-1 for defense. I'm talking defense, anti-missile defense. A 2-to-1 meaning they have to fire 2 anti-missile defense for 1 incoming rocket or missile, right? The second thing is it tells them they know exactly where and how the strength of the anti-defenses, but they already have that information. And why use the good stuff when you can just deplete? They're doing it. They're depleting the anti-defense shield. And that's when we had those very heated exchange. We had very heated exchanges yesterday. They cut for hours going back and forth. But the bottom line is we have the receipts. Israel and the GCC have basically virtually they're defenseless right now, other than 1s and 2s, but they're virtually defenseless right now. The evidence is clear. And now Iran honestly has basically they're not uncontested defense against them. They're just hammering, and they're going to keep hammering. And that's why I believe with all my heart that Trump is probably just begging for the Iranians to come, hey, let's make a deal. And they're like, no, we ain't doing any deal, but unless they're brought to full concessions with Iran's demands.
Yeah, well, I was reading on Al Jazeera that senior Iranian officials to Reuters, the new supreme leader rejected proposal to de-escalate tensions or make peace with America in a foreign policy session. That was posted on their Twitter feed about 10 minutes ago. So looks like they are looking for dragging this for a lot longer than what America wants and what America and Israel wants. And yeah, look, I'll keep making the analogy. They've made it a marathon, and I don't think the Americans and the Zionists can withstand this marathon.
Exactly. And we do know, again, by the evidence we have here, who is really winning right now, honestly, and I'll just leave it there. Looking at the evidence through history, going back to day one, do we have command and control and dominance in the Persian Gulf? Nope, not even close. That means by air, surface. I'm speaking Navy here. By air, the U.S. Navy is very tribal. We have the air, they're in their own tribe. We have the surface defense. Surface warfare, they're in their tribe, and then we have our submarine community, which I spent most of my career in, and believe me, we're very tribal. And do we have any any dominance in the Persian Gulf. Not only no, but absolutely no. And the evidence is clear. Therefore, who's going to last out who? If the Israel's being hammered daily and the GCC hammered daily without stopping it, let's do some math here, and I'll just leave it there.
How disgusting is this, right? So Gideon Saar, who's the Israeli foreign minister, he says Ali Larijani was under US sanctions with a $10 million prize on his head. We did it for free.
Bastards are so proud.
So disgusting.
Demonic.
So
It
disgusting.
is
But you know
demonic.
what? The good thing, yeah, it is. It's demonic. But you know, the good thing is that these people, they don't believe in this life. They believe that, you know, this life is a test. We all believe it. Muslims believe it. That this life, unfortunately, most Muslims get too indulged in this life, to be honest. Muslims are supposed to believe it, is what I should say. But Muslims are supposed to believe that this life is a test. And then, you know, in the afterlife, that's when you get the rewards for this life. And these people, these leaders, they actually hold true to that belief. That's why they don't mind dying for their cause at all. They'll sacrifice everything. Most Muslims in the world are just self-indulgent, to be honest, like most people. Let's go to Jeffy. Jeffy, how do I pronounce your name? Heifer? You requested the mic? You're going to speak? Okay, I'll remove you. Jeffan Dente, am I pronouncing his name right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. I was just about to remove you. You just got in the nick of time. Go ahead.
No, I appreciate that. I just want to say thank you guys. I'm from the Midwest in the States, and I've been listening to you guys for almost 2 years now. You guys do a very wonderful job of educating a lot of us, because, as you know, the media here doesn't really share anything. And you said something a couple of days ago where you said by now, if you really don't see what our government is doing, and if you still in allegiance with it, it's not that you don't have information, it's just that you don't really care, or you're morally and ethically aligned with them, which is very much true. And one thing I wanted to ask you guys is, I don't know, something that I've been having a hard time understanding is the Arab world and how they see certain things. I remember a speech that Gaddafi gave back in the day in which he said, "You're all next. When my time comes, a lot of you guys are next." And I'll never forget the image of Bashar just sitting there laughing like, this can never happen to me. And as you see now, it's happening, and it's happening at a very, very, like, a gradual, like, it's happening a lot faster than they actually imagined. So my question is it a fear that they have of one another that is more than what's actually being done to them? Or is it money? What is it that they're not waking up and seeing, like, you're next, Saudi, you're next, Jordan, you're next, Qatar, you're next? And that's something that I still don't understand. What is it? And I was hoping, you guys can kind of help me with that.
Can I add from a moral perspective?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Is you heard Jefe or Jefa?
Yep.
Jefe is Spanish for chief, or Jefa is a pronunciation for the feminine portion of the chief. But no, hey chief. No, hey Jefa. From a moral perspective, you heard Beatrice. I hope you heard her speak. She said when she's speaking about the Zionists, that the mindset of how they doing like God's work or their afterlife. In the afterlife, they believe that they're going to get their rewards and that they're doing just fine. But in reality, morally speaking, we have clear doctrine that people who walk in thinking in their own dark minds, that they're doing God's work. Let me just ask a question and I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're Christian, I don't care, Jude, whatever religion you are. we have a thing inside of us in our spirit, and one of the faculties of the spirit is our conscience, and conscience is a natural knowledge to know, spiritually know, what is good, what is right, and what is evil. And clearly, when their minds become darkened, their conscience becomes seared, and they think, and they even down deep know, but after a while they salve the conscience with salve, and they continually doing evil, think that they're convinced that they're doing good, but in reality they know they're not, but they suppress it to the extent where they have to do works. So that's when they get into their practices of, in their rhetoric, we're doing this is to destroy the evil, but their hearts are dark, and we see it by their actions. And then, of course, the next thing here is money. Money is the root of all evil. They are ruled and controlled by money. And that money is significant. It's significant. It's not just a few it's not a few pesos here. It's billions and billions of dollars. We had during the Iraqi war, we were sending container ships that had actually container boxes. What do you call them? A container, a shipping container, loaded with cash, $100 bills, stacked, packaged, direct, fresh from the Federal Reserve, right from their print from the reserve, and those stacks of cash, I personally know I'm going to say my close firsthand and secondhand experience is the cash that was never accounted for, and we were told, like dealing with the Taliban and dealing with the Iraqis, that hey, just give them cash, pay them off, just pay them off. They'll sell their soul for $1. The problem is, what happened with the Taliban? We were supposed to buy them off. It didn't work, did it? I'll end it there. But it's money, and a darkened conscience, and money.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. And the other thing that that's so funny to me is, man, there's a fella in here who everything that comes from the West is 100% fact to him, and then anything else that comes from Iran or Gaza or anywhere else, it's propaganda. And it's like this notion that we have is what we say is right when everybody else says is wrong. And for 2 years, we've been hearing the numbers in Gaza were off. It's Hamas controlled. And then finally, the IDF comes out and says, yeah, the death toll is about right. And then now, all of a sudden, it's right. So it's just like this mentality that goes on that whatever the West says or whatever these people say is a fact, and whatever anybody else says, it's a terrorist, and it's just that. And I've lost, I'm in my 30s, I've lost respect for the word terrorist when I first found out that Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist. And the term terrorist to me nowadays is not what it used to mean, but it's anybody that's against Zionism or against the West. It's, to me, labeled a terrorist. If you're a freedom fighter, you're a terrorist. There's a famous quote that says, give me liberty or give me death in America. But if you do that in the Middle East, you're considered a terrorist. If you go up against a system or if you go up against your oppressors, you're considered a terrorist. So it's just that mentality that I think we need to get past. And it's starting to change here. Like, I have a lot of friends that, that I introduced them to this panel right here, and they've learned a lot from it. And that it's like every single day they come to me and send me things and ask questions. And one of them actually just watched the Bibi Files last weekend, and his thing was, we're going to Iran saying that they have a leadership or people that are corrupt, that are unwanted, or that are holding on to power, that are dictators. But Bibi is the epitome of that. Like, literally, if you look, most people in Israel don't really want him. And the reason why he's doing these wars is just to stay in power. So I don't want to take too much time from you guys, but it's just that blind propaganda that they're blinding everybody with. And one thing we always do is it's like a blind allegiance that we have with Israel. It's not one that's based off of moral ethics, but it's just that, hey, you can do whatever you want, we're aligned with you. You can say whatever you want, do whatever you want, we'll still go in battle with you. And I think that comes from their people and their billionaires just putting so much money and effort into just doing whatever they need to do. And if you look at the Muslim billionaires or the Muslim Gulf states that have more money than these Zionists, and they don't do anything for their people, for their religion, other than just like you said, just sell them off. So appreciate you guys for having me, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, sir, for
Yeah,
fighting the good fight.
thanks, Hefa. I just want to ask you your second question I'll come on to, but your first one was you talked about Gaddafi, I think, and was your question about why the Arab country leaders are subservient to Zionism? I didn't understand it.
No, it's like you see something and it's like it's a trend. You know what I mean? Like you base things off of trends, right? And when Gaddafi went on stage, I think it was an Arab League speech that he gave in which he said to all the rest of the Arab leaders that, hey, they're coming for you next. It's not going to end with me or Saddam or anybody, but just know you're all next. And they sat there and laughed. And especially the one that was laughing the most was Bashar. So my question is, are they this blind, or are they just controlled to a point where instead of like knowing, hey, it doesn't end with Iran, it doesn't end with Gaza, it doesn't end with Lebanon. It's all of us that they're coming for, and what's stopping them from just realizing that is what was my question, and I think Andrew kind of answered that well. It's just that a lot of them are just bought off.
I think so. Look, I think with Saddam, I think they probably thought they were better than him in some ways. You know, they were the rulers of their countries. It could never come there. Saddam, I'm just giving maybe their perspective. He was actually in bed with the West for a while. You know, if you lie, you know, with the devil, you're gonna get, you know what I mean? He was in bed with the devil for a while, so they probably thought he made his bed. They're never gonna come for us. You know, we're never gonna have this. I think there is zero doubt now that they all know what their position is. And I think the leaders of the Gulf states, Andrew's right. I mean, when you trace back their history and you think, well, there were no elections, so who put them there? And if they've managed to stay there for so many years, is it because Israel and America are happy with them? Well, of course, because if Israel and America were not happy with them, they would have had sanctions, they would have had bombs, they would have had threats, and they probably would have been assassinated by now. So they are the chosen leaders, and that's why they're there. Any country you look at, including Syria, Lebanon, they've got the chosen leaders in place, but Hezbollah ain't having no nonsense from those puppets in power. Hezbollah's like, yeah, this is our country, and we will defend it. So anywhere where there's resistance, and the chosen leader cannot keep their people in line, you know, there's this kind of terrorism going on by Israel. But where the chosen leaders across the Arab world keep everyone in line, it's all good. We're all good. You know, there's nothing from Israel and America. And I think now they all know that Israel's bad news. And America's bad news. I just think that, you know, change is going to be really difficult for them. I don't think they trust Iran. But they're going to have to make that change. And I think they thought they were stronger than they were. They underestimated Israel, to be honest, massively. And what was the second point you were making?
It's the whole thing that everything like the West says is 100% accurate, and anything anybody else says.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So you mentioned people who come on our space. Look, the fact is, right, that the majority of the world believes mainstream media. The person that comes on our space is not an exception. It is the majority of the world. So we will take an article, a headline, and we'll decipher it here. I'll share my thoughts and I'll say, I don't think that's true, because if you look at what's happening, you know, this article is not true. Andrew will give his opinion and we will discuss it. We will never, ever take it at face value. The majority of the world will. Literally today in the back channels, somebody sent me there was just literally a message going on now, and I kind of popped out of it and I haven't responded. I was in there for 30 seconds. And somebody said that the GCC countries are cracking it now, right? And then somebody else who's educated, who's a teacher, who understands geopolitics to quite a degree says, well, yeah, no wonder, because Iran's throwing all their missiles. And I jumped in there and I said, actually, a lot of them are red, like false flags. Iran isn't doing all of them. Iran's doing a percentage of them. But if they're not on X, if they're not realizing that Iran is saying what it's doing and doing what it says it's going to do, and everything else is a false flag, and Iran's calling out the false flags as well, the media's not going to report it. They're never going to know about it. So they're actually believing that all the destruction across the Middle East is actually coming from Iran, and there's nothing being done by Israel and America. And these are British educated people. Like some of them, and this isn't just a teacher, actually, this is a head of a department in a very prestigious school. And so, like, this is the majority of the world, unfortunately. They need waking up.
There is one thing I want to add, Beatrix, if you might let me add it, which is,
Yeah.
thank you. I would like to tell you that since the beginning of Islam, 1400 back, there was a small problem or a fight between Shia and Sunnah. Now, America, US, and Israel have invested heavily on this fight that happened between two partners of the Muslim in the Middle East. So the Shias are, you might say that the Iranians, and the Sunnis are the GCC countries. So nowadays, the plan for Israel was to make the Shia Sunnis fight together and destroy the Middle East, destroy their military capabilities, destroy their their ability to rule and control the Middle East, and then the most powerful will be Israel in the end. Now, GCC countries, even though they are alliance with US, and some of them, like UAE, is direct alliance with Israel, they don't want to indulge in this war because they know the main plan of Israel is that it's rule and divide, rule and conquer. You might say it. It's an old method, but it's still.
Okay, your mic is a little bit muffled now.
Say again, Beatrix. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine now. It just got a bit muffled. Your mic. You seemed you were away from it, but it's fine now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they wanted to use this method of rule and conquer, or divide and rule. They wanted the Shias and Sunnis to fight together. Even the last statements from some of the senators of the USA, I don't know, senators or governor, his name is Lindsey Graham. He like to call him Lady G. So this Lady G, or this Lindsey Graham, he was fighting, or like pushing Saudi Arabia and Gulf countries to go and fight Iran, the fight of Israel instead of Israel. You get me? So now the GCC countries, they don't want to enter this war. They don't want to destroy their countries in the sake of Israel. It's an old fight that they invested in it heavily, and they want it to happen now so they can control the great Israel from the river to the sea as they wish. Thanks.
Yeah. This division of Sunni versus Shia was the most damaging thing ever. I hate it. I just cannot take anybody seriously who does that. I just think that it doesn't matter what you say to me after you've spoken about this. If you're a Shia and you've criticized somebody because they're Sunni, if you're a Sunni and you've criticized somebody because they're Shia, if you've done that, I don't care what pearls you've got to share after that. I'm just going to look at you as somebody who's really small-minded and doesn't comprehend things, because that's just like real bargain basement ideology. And they did it. They got us with it.
And Beatrix, I think a lot of, especially here in the States, the young Muslims don't really know the main difference between a Sunni and a Shia. Like, there's some Muslims that really believes that Sunnis that believe Shias are not Muslim. You know what I mean? So they don't know enough, or they don't even know what they disagree on. They just heard this thing that, it's completely off or it's completely different. That I think some of them don't even think that Shias are Muslim, you know? So like you said, it's that division, and it's one that comes from, you know, misinformation, and sometimes just like you said, like not looking at something and kind of, you know, educating yourself. Um, and you know, like one of the things I like about you guys here is
It's preached at a very very small age, unfortunately. That division, it's preached to them and it's embedded into them at a very very young age, in these very extremist mosques. And I'm talking from both sides. I'm not taking one side. I'm taking from both sides. It's embedded in their blood sometimes. These extremists, not all of them, these very extremist mosques, and you know it's very hard to counter that and to change that.
In a way it's similar to like a colonialism mind state, like you know how what they did with Rwanda, Somalia, and all these other countries, in which they separated them into two different groups and then made one group believe that they're either superior or better than the others, and then that's how the civil wars. And you know, it's kind of similar to that, to me. And like you guys said, it's been working. It's been doing wonders for them.
Yeah, and do you know what it is? I think it's just that mindset of not seeing another human being as a human being, you know? And if you're going to go down that road where you say that they have to think exactly the way that I think, um, then what other like kind of criterias are you going to measure them on? I'll tell you what I'm thinking when I'm saying this. So when I first, this was very early on when Spaces started, before Elon Musk, well before Elon Musk. When Spaces first started, and we started doing Spaces, there was a guy that used to do Spaces on human rights in India. And none of you will know him. I don't even think he does Spaces anymore. And he started his Spaces, and there was a lot of there were people from India on there, and he knew some of them. I didn't know anybody at that time, right? I just used to go in different spaces based on interest. So I used to join those spaces, and I used to talk and listen to them. And I remember one time, one guy came up to speak, and I think from memory, he was somebody who was quite well known in India, or in their local community in India. I think they were from South India or somewhere. And he was like somebody within the community quite high up and things like that. And he came to talk about an incident that had happened against minorities and things like that. The host, and it only ever used to be the host, he'd never take a co-host or anything, it was his space. He started saying to the guy, but hang on a minute, right? And started bringing out, like, I can't remember what it was, but something about his personal life. Like, you left your wife and two kids and then you got married again or something. I can't remember, but something really like that. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what's that got to do with it? Can you let him make his point? Because he's trying to address, like, what the community is suffering and what's going on. But he wouldn't move on. The host wouldn't move on. So I messaged the host afterwards and I said to him, that's terrible. I said, like, his personal life, he was here to talk about what we were all talking about, and he had insight in that. And he was like, yeah, but you don't know what these people do and what they get up to. And then he started telling me about a couple of other people who used to be regulars on the panel, and religious differences between them. So I said to him, well, what's your checkpoint going to be then? Is it going to be that somebody has to believe in exactly what you believe, live the life that you approve of, have the exact ideology that you have on every single thing before they can support the cause that we're united in? Because let me tell you something, on Palestine, and I said this to him at that time, if we'd have done that on Palestine in the UK, there would not have been a pro-Palestinian movement at all. Because the UK pro-Palestinian movement has gays, lesbians, LGBT, Muslims, Christians, atheists, Jewish people, everybody, because it's a humanitarian cause. Everybody's on board, right? It's too big a cause for you to start messing around with. Do you believe the way that I believe? And if you are a Muslim, is it exactly the same way that I am? You know, it doesn't work. You cannot do it. That's not how you build a movement. And these people just don't get it. And this is what they've managed to do to the Muslim community, you know, divide each other and look at each other differently and stuff. And I hate it. I just think, you know what, this is why they rule over you. Can you not see it? You never build a movement in the Middle East, let me tell you. That Arab Spring was a once in a lifetime witnessing thing. You never build a movement in the Middle East. Mancos, why are you giving me high five when I say that?
No, I'm just waving hello. I just got here.
Hello, hello. Do you have any update, Mancos? You sent me that tweet. That was quite chilling, actually. Do we have any updates on Ali Larijani?
I mean, I haven't seen anything. Everyone on Twitter is just saying that, I mean, they're all saying like it's confirmed they're dead.
Well, there's no comment from the Iran side. It's just confirmation and not like it's disgusting stuff being said on the Israeli side by Gideon Saar and people like that. Yeah. Let's see what other news there is. Let me see what other news there is, and let me bring up some speakers. Just a quiet day for the news front, to be honest. Let's see what's going on. There's going to be Boom Boom Tel Aviv. So the Financial Times reports Iran is making massive amounts of money with new oil prices. Iran is earning about 140 million per day from oil exports as prices rise above the $100 per barrel, driven by disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz. Despite sanctions, the US is effectively allowing these shipments to avoid worsening global supply shortages. Since recent strikes, Iran has exported around 1.5 to 1.6 million barrels daily, with tankers continuing to load at Karj Island. Most Iranian oil goes to China, often at a discount. And why shouldn't they? I don't know if that's true because it was reported by the Financial Times, but heck, why shouldn't they? They've been in sanctions for years. Let them do it. So Trump has made a statement. Let's read Trump's statement, see if there's any sense we can make of this one. He says, the Save America Act is one of the most important and consequential pieces of legislation in the history of Congress and America itself. No more rigged elections, voter ID, proof of citizenship, no rigged mail-in voting. We are the only country in the world that allows this. That's not true, actually. We do mail-in voting, so he's lying. Anyway, no men in women's sports. No, what's that got to do with anything? No men in women's sports. I like the way he doesn't say no women in men's sports. See that? That's a feminist take. No men in women's sports. He doesn't say no women in men's sports. Anyway, no transgender mutilization of our children. 90% to 99% issues all. What? So he's saying he's solving 90% to 99 issues all of the issues, it means. Only sick, demented, or deranged people in the House or Senate could vote against the Save America Act. If they do, each one of these points separately will be used against the user in her political campaign for office. He's threatening them. Wow. A guaranteed loss. Get your senators, Republican or Democrat, to vote yes on the Save America Act. I will never, ever endorse anyone who votes against Save America. He's threatening them, freaking out. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Crazy. It wasn't to do with Iran, and I didn't know it wasn't going to be to do with Iran, so I just thought I'd read it out. Iran war could push 45 million people into acute hunger by June. This is the World Food Programme. By June, 45 million people. Israeli strike hits area near Beirut airport. What else is there?
I sent you something that might be confirmation. It's supposedly from a source inside Iran.
God, these people are disgusting in Iran. This is a monarchist for sure. Thanks for that, Mancos. That Iran wire makes Fox News look like legitimate. Do you know what I mean? That's how disgraceful Iran wire is.
Just on the oil crisis that you're talking about, Beatrix. So, in my line of work, I do public transport, and we're going into not a crisis mode, but we're planning for a crisis. So, um, we're looking at implementing weekend timetables for our buses, which basically means rather than a bus coming every 5 minutes, it'll be coming every 1 hour because of the potential fuel shortage that we're going to face between now and end of April.
Stop hearing people talk. Is what the hell? You
Yeah,
guys here?
same. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good morning. How are you guys? I heard a lot of people say Midwest, and I'm like, oh, let me come up. All my Midwest buddies are here. Andrew and somebody else. How's everyone doing?
Hey, doing great, considering, because we're in the fight to fight the good fight, the resistance, and we're fueled by that, brother.
Yeah. On top of all the accolades you got, we're from the Midwest, so the best is from the Midwest, guys. In America, we propel this place. But nevertheless,
That's public. That's you, right?
yes, this is it.
Oh my God! You know what, Andrew? Don't get so happy.
This
I
is
know he
he.
comes up once every
Big guy.
few weeks to squat on our spaces, and then he disappears
Well,
again.
no.
Yeah,
See,
Literally.
can I tell you the truth? It's like it does cost me a lot to spend 24 hours, but it costs me so much money, time, effort. I have to pay people to stand in my place, and that does cost at least $400 a day. So it's expensive, man. Come on, give me that.
Yeah, and so people are dying. Who cares? I'm not like, what am I doing?
Yeah, but
I'm not getting paid to do this.
you
I'm
know the
giving up my
second
time.
part is
I'm not doing what I'm doing.
the second part is I try not to tell a lot of people, but I broke a lot of bones in this world. So if I don't get proper rest, my muscles they start to tense, tighten up and stuff.
Oh my God, you sound worse than a chick. I bet you'd never say this if Suleiman was on here. But oh my God, I need my rest. All my bones ache. Like seriously, fix up.
The woman with the
Okay.
biggest ovaries over here. There you go.
Oh, Ahmad, you're here? I thought you were asleep, man. I would have never said all that if you were listening.
Nah, I'm here, man. I was just in traffic. I just got here, so it's all good now. I'm here.
You're witness, Brother Omar. You're witness to this conversation,
Oh
right?
yeah, I'm witness. I'm witness, man. I can't say nothing, but I heard it. I gotta say it. If I'm asked, I'm gotta say the truth. I'm sorry to put you out there, public. I love you, brother.
Yeah, you guys are hilarious.
Now you keep us on our toes, public. Public's always there, man. He keeps us on your
Believe it or
keep him
not,
on your toes.
even though I'm not on speaker, I am always there. Like little do you guys know, I'm always lurking in the shadows, waiting for a reason to help my
That
friends.
I believe I have seen him lurking in the shadows of the oddest of spaces since I've known him. And then I send him a screenshot saying, "What were you doing there?" And he'd be like, "Oh, you spotted me." That I believe.
That's
A year
so funny.
ago, a year ago, I met Public. In fact, on this space, and all of a sudden I heard this voice, and I'm like, "Whoa, who's that?" And he comes on and just like an A10 man laying down the fire, and then just poof, gone again. I'm like, well, "Okay, who was that?"
Yeah, that's how it is, Andrew. We go commando.
Yes, sir. Thanks for being there, Public. No, in all a serious note, brother. God bless you, man. You're there when you need to be there.
No,
We know
Andrew, you got it
your heart.
wrong. God bless you guys. Even, you know what? Even God bless your adversary, Mango, because he does make for good content, and he is pretty smart. Sometimes the group thinks he argues in bad faith, but nevertheless, it makes for good content. And that was a compliment, Mango. See, I said you were smart. And then God bless all you guys, the listeners and stuff that retweet and share Suleiman's work. Um, because it's a difficult job. Like I come up because I hear how tired you guys are. I hear it in your guys' voices, and I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate you guys. 'Cause without you guys, I would not be as informed as I am.
It was very nice of you, Brother Public, but you didn't have to come up and say all that about myself and Suleiman. We know, we know. And you've been a rock. You've been part of the inner core family for a long, long time. So I'm only teasing you. And no, he doesn't keep us on our toes, Andrew. I keep him on his toes.
Yeah, and for those of you guys who don't know, I am the one Khaleesi talks about, the resident squatter. I am Ultimate Squatter X on this platform. That is me, the one that she speaks about, the resident.
Yeah, so when I kick people off saying you cannot squat here, there's only one person, that's him. Because he used to literally just sit, he could sit on the space for 12 hours on the panel and not say a word. Literally not say a word, just squat. And he's the only person that squats on our spaces for free.
But you know it's chaos in my background, and real, you know it's chaotic.
Let's go to I don't know who's this requesting. Oh, let's go to Silver Sailor. Silver Sailor, how are you?
Very good. How you doing, Beatrix? Thank you for the microphone.
You're welcome anytime, Silver Sailor. We're doing good. We're doing good.
Yes.
Any news today? What do you
I'll go ahead and do my anti-war veteran minute with Silver Sailor, but I'd like to say salute to our veterans, Andrew, Public, welcome back, brother. And Manco, yeah, I love hearing your side of the house, but I disagree. But you are welcomed in the space, and I love just hearing the banter going back and forth. But here we go. I'm going to read one for the chicks since Beatrix is at command of the space today. This one's from Eleanor Roosevelt. For it isn't enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it. One must work at it. Thank you.
Oh, Silver Sailor, I love that.
That was beautiful.
That is so important, isn't it? Don't you think at this time, right now? Like you have to work at it. You can't just believe in it. You can't just talk about it. Iran is working at it. Nice, nice, Silver Sailor. And the nice words you said about people on our panel were really nice as well, about Andrew, about Mancos. Mancos gets a really hard time, but I don't know anybody who would sit here and take what he takes and comes back. He's always as respectful. If someone attacks him, obviously he does lash out a bit, but he's respectful. You know, he's got very differing opinions to 99% of the panel and speakers here. And he doesn't mind being the odd one out, you know? So yeah,
And he's got thick skin, and he handles it well. So, welcome, Mancos.
Mancos,
he does handle it
is
well.
your people hiring?
People, Mancos is people.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Everybody speculates this, not me. But if they are hiring, let me know how much they're paying per hour, because ain't no way you're sitting up here all day for free.
Public, don't bother. I tried getting into Mango's his deal there, but number one, I don't have a high enough IQ. Number two, I have a very, very low tolerance of abuse. So they said I do not qualify.
Hey, this is Silver Sailor again. Before I drop off, I want to just remind the people listening on YouTube, on mobile, please use your hype points. You could do it 3 times a week. It's free, and you only could do it for videos that are been uploaded 7 days or more. So let's boost Suleiman's YouTube channel and get those hype points going. Thank you.
Wait, what's hype points? Explain it to somebody that doesn't know how this works. I know that I'm subscribed, and that's about, even on TikTok, I'm totally lost too.
Yeah, hype points just kind of brings his videos up, more often in the algorithm. So just another way to boost his channel.
Is it there, like you go to the you go to the actual video and then is that what it is, or you go to the channel and you find something that says hype points, correct?
Yes. Yeah. You'll see it and it'll prompt you. You're like, yay, you want to use your height points for this video, and you just go ahead and click yes or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna hype
Yeah.
my boy up. That's what I'm gonna do as soon as I become stationary. I'm like Sully's biggest hype man, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to
Right on.
YouTube. Yep. Thanks, Silver.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you, Silver Sailor. Appreciate you. And come back when Suleiman's back on, please, with another quote.
I think he gives the better ones to Silly, Khaleesi. He gives like the more like watered down ones to you. I don't know why he does that, but it's all appreciated nevertheless.
Are you joking? He just gave a banging quote that was so apt to this war. Let's stop it. You get your
Yeah,
little
but for
spoon out now.
Sully, he does this like ding 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 thing, and then like he didn't do it for you though too. So
He did. I heard it.
it was like I didn't hear it. I heard it was like it sounded bad. It sounds a lot better for Sully, like he prepares and has a better quote. But what major has happened since yesterday? I remember yesterday. I kind of know what's going on, but in the past 12 hours, has anything crazy happened?
Well, Israel are claiming they've killed Ali Larijani.
Has that been confirmed?
Not from Iran yet, not from Iran, just from Israel. Do you know what it reminds me of, right? And it's freaking me out that it reminds me of this. It reminds me of something Simon kept saying. And he kept saying, look, all the ones that were negotiating that were around the table are still alive. They will take out the hardliners. You know, some of the hardliners will be gone. And I was thinking, how can you know? Like, how did you know that? Like, how, like, who around Ali Larijani is the snake? Like, who is the rat? There must have been somebody within that vicinity who knew where he was. This was a targeted strike. Who was feeding that to Israel? How do people know that hardliners, like they class him as a hardliner? I don't. But obviously, I don't know, freaking me out. Let's see what HK would like to say. HK, jump in, please.
Hey guys, how you all doing? I just wanted to talk about this Ali Larijani thing. I am working on getting confirmation for this. I should be getting it in the next 2 hours. I have people within Iran and that would be able to give me the information. So in about 2 hours time, I can either confirm or deny this categorically. Yeah.
Thank you. Do you have any gut feel about it yourself?
Personally, I think the guy's alive. Yeah, he's alive. He's doing something a little strange, hiding, talking to, I'm pretty sure, other people to get a few of his plans across. That's all I can say for now. In terms of me personally, my background, I'm from Afghanistan, from a very well-connected family there. So in the previous government and in the current one as well. So my information network in that region is pretty solid. And yeah, there was this one guy that was always talking about China and China's not getting oil. I always wanted to talk with that guy because China's getting oil through Afghanistan. That's one thing that no one actually knows or picks up on. They're getting a shit ton of their oil through Afghanistan. It's coming from Iran through Afghanistan. So even if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, it doesn't really matter. It's just, one border, maximum two, their own.
Is that were you saying it? Were you saying I don't know who that was, but I'm just assuming that China not getting oil might be human cost, or was it inevitable?
I think it was inevitable. It was one of either, or it was one of these two. They were arguing about it. But yeah, China's been trying to get oil from Afghanistan and of itself as well. We have oil fields there. They were, trying to pump it out, I think 3 years ago. And then the Afghans, they kicked them out because they breached the contract. So, but in terms of transit from Iran to China, we're doing that on a regular basis. I think we have roughly 1,400, tankers going across daily, like lorries going across our borders daily. And they're setting up a rail network as well, which is going to be joining China, Afghanistan, Iran, I think Tajikistan and some other Stan country as well. So there are a lot of developments. That's why, the current situation in Afghanistan is, heating up. America wanted the Bagram Air Base so they can launch their little rockets and whatnots from Afghanistan into Iran. The Afghans, they said no. As soon as they said no, the Americans paid the Asim Munir to start a fight with Afghanistan. Now that's the political situation there in that region, just across the border of Iran. And yeah, that's my
Hey,
two
would you?
cents.
Hey, bro, on your the getting the oil to China from out of Afghanistan by those lorries, or we call them the trucking, is it really that significant? And the port that they're being loaded, can you elaborate on that?
Okay, so basically there's two different methods. Okay, so one, you get the lorries that go across the borders, right? So that's the trucking. Another route that they have made, I think it's kept quiet, but I'm pretty sure it's finished, the project. They were trying to make a tunnel through the Wakhan Mountains, which connect China and Afghanistan. And they were planning, and they have, I know they've started, I'm not sure if they finished, but 90%, sure they're finished. A network rail there, and they started the trains, so going across the borders and stuff like that. So that's like the big projects that were going on in the past 5 years within Afghanistan. The infrastructure, that's why it's getting built really quickly there. The roads there are newer, they're much more well connected. Yeah, like all the people that I know there, they do claim that there is no money in terms of business, but the government is making a shit ton of money. Not sure how. And they're doing a lot of these infrastructure projects, like massive ones that you wouldn't believe. I have confirmation as well that they're planning to build a new city with like a mini city, I should say, in I think it's Nangarhar. They're spending, I think, 800 million USD to build. I think last time I checked, it was like 30 to 35 30-story towers, and they're planning on doing another confirmed another two as well, so another two cities in other places. And yeah, so that's what's happening in Afghanistan. It's not all doom and gloom or this, that, the other, but when the fighting occurs, these are the reasons. Does that answer the question?
Yes, I'm just astounded that by the trucking they can get that much. I mean, unless they had like a massive caravan of big tanker trucks, that would have to be like a massive ongoing effort. I'm not denying it, but I'm really surprised. I mean, it's really interesting because I haven't heard this being discussed at all.
Yeah,
No, Andrew, your intuition is right. You can't move lots of oil by trucks long distances. The economics of it just make absolutely no sense.
it makes no
Wouldn't it
sense
make
in
Wow, I
sense
agree
the
to
with
in the
Mango.
supply
Western countries. It does make sense.
Mako, wouldn't it? I know, go ahead. I was just gonna say, wouldn't it just make sense to supply a little bit to like a certain part of your country, like the southwest region of your country? That way, it'll you could lessen the. You guys
Listen
get
to
what I'm trying to
burden.
say here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, lessen the burden.
So
Yeah,
China is
yeah.
trying to extend infrastructure into Afghanistan through the tiny border that they have, but it doesn't make any sense to try to move oil because oil actually isn't very valuable given its weight. They're doing that more because they want to extend infrastructure into Afghanistan for purposes of expanding things like mining, so they can get things like mineral resources out.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not denying that. They have a few of the mines that they've bought the rights to for, I think, like 10 years or so, and they've completely walled off the area. No Afghan can go there, or no one that's not officially on their mining team or whatever is allowed in there. That is true, but then again, you have to look at the other things. You're not getting, diamonds and rubies every day, right? They're kind of small. Unless they're looking for ores for like iron and other stuff like that. Uranium as well, you can find in Afghanistan a bunch of, but I'm not sure they're mining for those sort of things. The setup for the mines hasn't been completed yet. So yeah, the first thing they done within Afghanistan was locate oil, and they found a shit ton of it. Yeah, so that's why I'm pretty sure they're taking out a ton of oil. Initially, it was 80-20 split for the Chinese. They take 80% because they done the initial investment. And then it went down to 60-40, then 50-50, and then I'm not sure, haven't gotten an update after that. You want to jump in, Mancos? Anything else?
Yeah, I don't. I thank you. Thank you. That is interesting information to have, though. Thank you.
No worries. I'm usually in this space, like listening in throughout the night and throughout the day as well. Sometimes I might pop in and request for the mic. So yeah, I've been in this group for I think the past 2.5 years that I do remember. So yeah, keep up the good work, Beatrice or Khaleesi, whichever one it is, and yeah, tell Suleiman that he's doing good work for my behalf. Thank you, guys.
Is that HK? HK speaking, right?
Yes, that's me.
Hey, HK. Thank you. I'll follow you.
Thank you very much. All right, I yield the mic to whoever wants to take it.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just on another app doing something. Okay, I came away from that screen. Let's go to start this again. Let me go to the next speaker. Who was it?
Nadine?
I think Nadeem, yeah.
Yeah, Nadeem.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I was trying to jump on when the conversation with AK was going on with regards to the landscape and sectarianism. One of the things I wanted to kind of give some insight on was that whilst I guess this is more for the people who aren't familiar with it. The West would like you to believe, or what mainstream media would like you to believe, that this is a conflict that is age old and it's highly contentious, and it's always been like that. And that's not actually the case. Shias and Sunnis have lived side by side without incident for centuries in various parts of the world. But you'll see the rise of it systematically throughout the 40s, particularly during the India-Pakistan partition, where it was utilized there as a weapon of war. And in more recent times, post 2006, after the Hezbollah victory against Israel, then as part of their stated mandate, they weaponized sectarianism to diminish the popularity of Hezbollah. Because whilst those sectarian tensions still existed, Hezbollah was almost like this sort of Switzerland of the Arab region, as in they understood that they were Shia and there was non-alignment there, but they also appreciated the fact that Hezbollah was fighting the fight that everyone needed to fight. Now, this was a major threat, and I feel people like often downplay how seriously the Israelis took this. They understood, especially post-Arab Spring, that any sort of unification amongst Sunnis and Shias or any of the other sects would be extremely detrimental to them. So they went about, and you can see even in Timber Sycamore, which again is a big chunk of that entire report that's missed, is the sectarian element, where they've outlined, how they intend to weaponize sectarianism to diminish the reputation of not just Hezbollah, but also put a spotlight on the Alawi sect, which were they were then by default calling them Shias. Now, this was done intentionally because the removal of Bashar al-Assad, a long-time ally of or perceived ally of Iran and Hezbollah, was a stone in their shoe, and they had to remove him. Now, I don't want to get into the complicity of the Jelani government, but ultimately, if you think about the 12-day war and the ability of Israel to attack Iran, a lot of that was only made possible because of a fallen Syria. Now, the Larijani statement as of yesterday, where he's appealed to the Muslim world, is actually more significant than people realize. To give you guys some insight into how things are shaping up within our own community, now we have like a plethora of marjas, and these are senior clerics, senior scholars, who historically have had their differences with other scholars, but there is absolute radio silence right now, which is very, very interesting in itself. People who, for example, within our own sort of school of thought, have been in opposition to the Velayat al-Faqih concept within Iran, or even Sayyid Khamenei, have all recognized his martyrdom, and for the points they find contentious, they have observed silence on it. They are not willing to talk about it right now. Now is not the time. So Larijani's statement as of yesterday to appeal to the wider Muslim Ummah, the Brotherhood, is actually probably the stuff of nightmares for the Zionists. Because, I mean, forget the wider GCC, just a proper strategic alliance between Saudi Arabia and Iran would be would change the entire dynamic of how this conflict is fought, right? Because Iran would exert its influence on its allies, and so would Saudi Arabia. The only sort of, I guess, wild horse in that stable is the UAE, because I think they have greater ambitions than anyone cares to admit. But ultimately, the biggest thing that I've noticed now is this sudden increase, especially on this platform, is of the sectarian rhetoric, um, and you have this group of people who are actively working towards diminishing sectarian narratives amongst the various communities. But then you have these UAE paid influencers, and I think it's very obvious by now that these are UAE paid influencers who are doing their utmost to create as much division as possible um, within within, especially within the Western Muslim community. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
There was like how to say, a peace agreement with China, under China, with Iran and Saudi Arabia in the past few years. So I think this thing will make a big difference in this ongoing war that have been happening since long time, and that have made Israel invest in this crack between the Muslim people. And nowadays, as Mr. Nadim said, the one who is really with the Zionists is UAE. I think Saudi Arabia is taking somehow the Muslim side and the Arab side. I mean, like the even Iran side in some way or other. But the main problem is the UAE that wants to divide all the nations in that area. I mean, all the countries in that area, and even trying to influence Europeans themselves about Muslims. And thanks.
Yes, brother. If you look at from a practical point of view, from the UAE's strategic point of view, what other choice do they really have? They're the very small entity. Yeah, if there was any meaningful unification on a political level from Sunni states and Shia states, the UAE would get swallowed whole. So this division serves them really, really well. The fact that the wider Muslim political structure is fractured works really well for them, because it means they are still a considerable player on the table. They get to influence certain policies, certain decision making. But if there was a wider consensus amongst the Muslim, well, at least in the region, their own political influence would diminish quite rapidly.
Yeah, I totally agree. They are just a Zionist puppet, as I tell them. They have opened their airports and their how to say, factories to supply weapons in my country, Sudan, for 3 years and supply mercenaries. So they are doing the agendas of not their own. They are just doing the agendas of the Zionist people to destroy the Middle East. What I'm talking about is UAE right now. And not only Sudan, they have also misbehaved with Oman, their neighboring country. They have misbehaved with Saudi Arabia itself. Actually, they have been promised by Israel to lead the Middle East if they succeed to make this project. They are in big trouble right now. They are totally worth any affection or like anything. I wish that Iran destroy them, and this is not out of hateness or like just like that without any reason. The things that they have done to my country Sudan is huge. They are up to now, instead of looking at their problems that is ongoing, the rockets that are falling on their head.
Sorry, brother, you've gone away from the mic. We can't hear you.
No, brother AK, we can't hear
Sorry, you
you.
hear me? You hear me now? Is it clear? Hello?
Yes. Yes, it's clearer now.
Yes, yes.
Maybe
So,
it's your headset.
yeah. So I was speaking about UAE and and its dirty role in the Middle East. You cannot compare any GCC country with UAE because of their direct alliance with Israel. They have even destroyed my country, Sudan. They have been sending weapons and mercenaries, Colombian mercenaries, to Sudan to take over Sudan since 3 years up to today. Until today they are still sending weapons and mercenaries to destroy Sudan. Imagine you are a country in war, like instead of taking care of the Iranian missiles that is falling on their head, no, they are still doing this project. I think because they have been promised by Israel to lead the Middle East if the project succeeded. But as we see now, the project is falling, and I don't think that they will be able to remove Iran from the situation and even remove Sudan and all the countries that they wanted to abuse, like Yemen, Sudan, Libya, and all of these countries. So yeah, I agree. UAE is the problem here. UAE and Israel.
Thank you. I have to jump off, but before I go, I just wanted to say one last thing, if that's okay. Look, at the end of the day, these theological differences between various schools of thoughts have existed for a long time, and they will exist in the future. My only real, I guess, humble request to everyone who's listening, to everyone on the panel, is the minute you hear people like Lindsey Graham talking about Shia Sunni, you know now is the time to actually distance yourself from that entire conflict as much as possible. I think we all need to be cognizant of when our enemies are openly discussing these divides. The minute they start discussing these divides is the minute we abandon them. And I hope everyone, and look, that's not to take away from anyone's devoutness in their faith. Look, you want to be a Shia, be a strong Shia. You want to be a Sunni, be a strong Sunni. You want to be an atheist, be an atheist. It's up to you. The ultimate objective should be that the people that are harming our entire existence and the welfare of our children should be regarded as the single greatest threat, and we should work towards that. All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. I'm going to drop down now.
Just to add to what you say, exactly do the opposite. If they're starting talking about that, what we do is unite. Whatever sect, whatever it is, just unite and do the opposite, and they'll end up losing.
100%.
Yeah, thanks for Brother Nadeem. So just really quickly, guys, there's breaking news, and somebody mentioned it. I think Samira mentioned it. Thanks, Samira, on the YouTube chat. So I put on Al Jazeera, and Netanyahu's actually claiming that he took out Ali Larijani. Now I need to ask her if it was a live press conference, or if it was a statement. And
I think it's a statement because that's what I'm reading here on the Telegram of Al Jazeera.
it's got to be a statement because the guy's offed.
Yeah, he's off. Where's BB?
Guys, you can send him to Mars as far as I'm concerned. I've got some other news, guys, really quickly that I want to read out, and then I'm gonna go to the other speakers. So Poland's now said they're not going to deploy troops to Iran. Unbelievably, Israel's foreign minister, this is on Suleiman's page, says Gideon Saar, he's the foreign minister, he says, by the way, we still haven't seen much but it is beginning to be embarrassing for this regime, without even a sense of irony. So Al Jazeera is saying that Netanyahu addresses the media amid ongoing US-Israeli war. So how did he address the media then?
His AI,
I don't know, we'll
his
have to
AI
wait and see.
addressed it.
Yeah, looks like it. Looks like it. Okay, let me read some news to you guys. Oh no, he did. He did one of his gay AI videos again. He says, we are undermining the regime in the hope of giving the people an opportunity to remove it. It will not happen all at once and it will not be easy. But if we persist, if we persist, we will give them an opportunity to take their fate into their own hands. We are helping our American allies in the Gulf. They're not your allies. In the Gulf. Okay, American allies. I don't know who he's talking about. Who's American allies? All right, okay, so yeah, the Gulf states in the Gulf. We will assist both indirectly and through direct actions. There are more surprises ahead. So it's basically saying we're helping our American allies in the Gulf. Those false flags were him. Because how else is he helping the Gulf countries? So he's given a statement, and actually, very, very disappointingly, I don't think this one does look like AI. I don't know, but that's what he said. That's his statement that's just come out. Let's have a look what Pezeshkian's put out in the last hour. Oh, it's about, he says, the hearts of the people of Iran grieve for the memory of the 20 eternal masterpieces and 84 innocent sea lovers. This is for the ship. Iranian drones are now reaching Jerusalem. Bish, bash, bosh.
That video,
There was some other news. Let me
Beatrix,
get to it. There's a lot of news now.
that video looks like a body double. Honestly, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but that doesn't look like him.
Oh, no, I want you to be a conspiracy theorist. Tell me. Does it look like a body double? It gives me hope. Does it?
Honestly, it looks like a body double. It is not the same person.
Brilliant. NTC, you can stay on the panel all day and all night whenever you want. It looks like a body double. You heard it here first, guys. Oh, we lost Andrew. Let me make sure I send him a mic. Okay, where's Andrew gone? Andrew, I'm going to send you a mic in DMs, dear. You can join with that. Okay, that looks like a body double. Guys, it's a body double. Don't, you know, it's okay. It's okay. It's a body double. Don't get too despondent. It's a body double. Right. Yakovlev, French general says, right, the US is I've never seen America be so humiliated because of one man, Donald Trump. He says, the US is asking for our help and expects us to share the cost of their failures with them. Joining Trump's coalition today is like buying a ticket to dinner and it says buying a ticket to dinner and dance on the Titanic the same night after hitting the iceberg. Whoa, what a smackdown. What a smackdown. He literally says that joining Trump's coalition today is like buying a ticket to dinner and dance on the Titanic the evening it hit the iceberg. Like, Europe should have grown this spine long time ago. Like, Europe wouldn't have been indebted to, like, just literal slavery of America for so many years because of Iraq and all the other disasters that we've taken part of. But anyway, let's have a look. Right, so the 58th wave of Operation True Promise 4 targeted Naharia, Beit Shemesh, Tel Aviv, and West Al-Quds, Camp Victoria Base, Ali Al Salem and Prince Sultan Air Base and 5th Fleet HQ. And missiles used were the Khorramshahr with a 2-ton warhead, multi-warhead Ghadir, Fatah, Khyber Shekin, I love these names, medium-range Fateh and Qiyam systems and kamikaze drones in an effect-based operation. And it was completed successfully, they say. And Spain is going to unlock 11.5 million barrels of oil reserves. Iran says that Israel has killed another 13 children. The German chancellor has found his morality as well. And so he says, give me 1 second, I'll tell you what he says. Germany's decided, no, we're not gonna succumb to this nonsense again. So the German chancellor says, he told reporters there is no military solution to the Iran conflict. He warned against any attempt to bomb the country into submission. So you cannot bomb Iran into submission. You've got to find a resolution, and there's no military solution to this conflict. No military solution to the conflict. Thing is, they were very quiet when the genocide happened. So what they're going to do? He's saying don't attempt to bomb the country into submission. What's he going to do? That's what I want to know. What's he going to do? Okay. What else is there? So some ships are starting to pass through the Strait of Hormuz because Iran appears to be allowing limited pre-approved voyages. A few non-Iranian tankers, including ships carrying fuel to India, I wouldn't have sent any fuel to them, but have made it through after negotiations, unless they paid over the odds. But overall traffic remains far below normal because the area is still considered dangerous. That's coming through Wall Street Journal. And that's the news roundup for now, guys.
You guys remember when the Nord Stream pipeline was blown up and Russia was going backdoor selling to energy to India, and India was selling it to Europe?
Yeah. And America.
Do you think there's still things like that going on where like Russia's backdooring Iran?
Yeah. I'd rather Russia backdoor Iran though than backdoor freaking India. Because they were selling it cheap to India. And then what India was doing was putting a massive markup on it and selling it back to us and to America. And the Brits and the Europeans and the Americans knew it was the same Russian oil. And it was going to cripple like the consumers here, like people, like people who pay their gas bills and things like that as well. And fuel and things like that. But they didn't care. They'd rather people pay more so they can have this facade of, but we've got sanctions on Russia. They didn't have no sanctions. They bought the same oil. They bought the Russia oil, but they just allowed India to make a ton of money on it. Crazy.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's the news for now. Let's go to 1984. Jump in.
Hey there. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just picking up the kid. Can I wait a couple of minutes?
Yeah, sure. You can do. Andy, not Andy. Andy, you can jump in anytime. Adriano. Adriano, you requested the mic. You're going to talk, or should I just remove you? Okay, we will remove Adriano. As I say, nobody can come up here and just squat for free. You can jump in if you're ready now, 1984, or I'll get somebody else up.
Yes. Hey guys, I've been trying to get up here and talk about, back when the Americans, they were at war with Vietnam, you had these mass gatherings and demonstrations and whatnot. So I was kind of like, wanted to hear people's thought on when that will happen in America or in the rest of the world. Like, is there any hints to that happening, or is it like, has it already begun and we're not seeing those things?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
You're talking about the downfall of the American Empire, how long it's going to take, and if it's happening, if I understood correctly.
No, no, not at all. I'm just talking about the mass demonstrations and people gatherings, like the anti-war movement that happened when America was at war with like Vietnam.
Yeah.
Well, the
I mean,
difference between then and now is there actually were U.S. troops, significant numbers of troops that were on the ground in Vietnam. And the protests were led by the students, particularly those male students who were subject to the draft. We're not there yet. One, because there's not enough political support for Trump um, from the people to join in a war, be boots on the ground again in the Middle East. So between now and 10 years ago, we've learned the lesson, at least some Americans have learned the lesson, that there's nothing in it for us except death and a loss of trillions of dollars and being involved in another war in the Middle East. So the lack of support still exists, but the active protests haven't started. But if we started putting boots on the ground, started bringing 3, 4, 500,000 men to stage them somewhere in the Middle East, which no one knows where that would be, to attack Iran, because Iran, with their ballistic missiles, can target the troop buildup. That wasn't a situation that happened in Kuwait or Iraq. So I just want to let people know, from my perspective, as a 67-year-old native Californian who's lived through the political change between Reagan and now, that America does not support this war. They won't go to war with it. And the Republican Party, led by Trump, is going to get decimated in our midterm elections in November.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of protests, remember? We have. I know in the UK, we'd arranged one for the Saturday that the war began, but we didn't know that the war was beginning on the Saturday. But there was a lot of talk about it. So Friday, information went out saying we're going to have a protest in central London tomorrow, Saturday afternoon, to say to our government, don't be part of it. And Saturday morning, Israel started bombing. Thousands of people turned out, thousands. And you got to remember, there's got to be a certain amount of pressure on the European and British governments from the genocide, because they know that they're toast. The next election, all of these leaders are toast completely, because of their support for the genocide. So they're trying to do damage limitation now, which is why they're like, yeah, you know what, use our bases, but we ain't giving you any of our aircraft. We ain't getting involved in bombing nobody. And that's Europe across the board. I just read Germany's statement. Germany grew a spine, like literally, Germany grew a spine. Spain, I didn't read the Spanish statement to you. Let me just read that to you as well. France, the UK, they're all at it now. They're all saying, no, we're not doing no bish bash bosh for you. You guys can get, wiped. Here we go. So Spanish Prime Minister says there is actually no common stance either in American politics or within American society. This is a one-sided war started by two nations, two governments, without consultation or coordination with their allies. Like, even Pedro Sanchez is like smashing them, you know what I mean? So there is stuff going on, but you've also got to remember, I think generally on a much broader scale, that people have come out the other side of watching a 3-year genocide, and they're really fatigued with it. And on some level, they'll be worried about, especially in Europe and the UK, their own futures. Record numbers of people have been moving abroad that I know. They want to get out of this country. Unfortunately, some of them actually moved to Dubai. Can you imagine that? You want to get out of the UK, you move to Dubai, and then you're in Dubai, and then you're like, oh, what happened here, man?
Beatrice, do you see that? You see that Poland also made a similar statement. They will not be joining any sort of offensive efforts against.
Poland did as well.
Can I add something to that?
Poland's like, no. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so because I heard a couple of things. I'm not seeing the names because I'm driving. Sorry for that. No disrespect. Thank you very much for answering. So it's basically dependent on boots on ground for people in the States to uprise. That's one thing I got from that. And the second thing is that people are tired of demos and whatnot in the UK. Maybe people are fatigued, if I heard you correctly. But does it have something to do with, like, people went out to protest for Gaza because they couldn't fight back, but Iran is actually well, let's face it, a superpower that is fighting back, and people are like, well, they kind of don't need our demos because they're basically, fighting back, and not just fighting back, but actually winning the war.
No, I don't think that's it.
No,
No, you got to.
no, I don't.
We did have protests here in America. Columbia University, University of Texas, UCLA out here in California, where students, broadly categorized as, anti-Semitic, were speaking against the genocide, and they were arrested, deported, in breach of our immigration laws because these students had valid visas and were here, had been accepted into the country for their student education. And then you had Governor DeSantis of Florida pass an anti-constitutional breach of our free speech guarantees, saying that any sort of protest akin to what was happening in other states was anti-Semitic and barred by law. And he went to Israel to actually sign that legislation. So the protest sort of died in part because school's out, and there was, there just wasn't enough support for an anti-war protest because at that point we weren't technically at war. So I think, again, it's not that we don't care. The Americans don't care about what's going on, but you brought up the comparison to now to Vietnam. And so I was just pointing out that there is a difference because mothers and fathers were sending their sons off to die in Vietnam. And people like Trump avoided service in Vietnam because his father got his father's podiatrist to write an excuse for Trump that he had bone spurs and couldn't serve. So it's always the poor Americans, the uneducated, ignorant Americans who believe in the media's propagandizing hatred for Islam, that sort of stoked the fire, at least in the first Gulf War and its expansion into Afghanistan and Pakistan. So I'll defend the American people broadly here. Yeah, it's just a comparison to Vietnam. I think there's a distinction.
Yeah, so there is what Doc's saying, but you know what? Also, I think that in the genocide, a lot of young people across America, and I'll treat America and UK a bit different. And the reason is because the UK already always had quite a strong pro-Palestinian lobby. But in America, we saw a real turn of events, right? Massive. And young people came out against the genocide and stuff. This time round with the war, I don't think there's been as many protests. Doc, I just saw your message. Sorry. So you know what? Let me just send you another one now. I hadn't seen it. I must have left my phone in here and gone out. Here you go.
No worries.
Yeah. So this time round, I think more people have actually come out and spoken in America against this war. A lot more people have spoken against this war in America.
And a lot of people who
and in
are
the UK,
a lot of people who were aligned with Trump previously, like myself, or Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, exactly. Doc. Yeah, massive shift.
But it's the control of the media, either through the Zionist control of the media that's existed for decades, or the reach of Trump to his MAGA base, has completely been decimated. And that's why there hasn't been an active draft. That's why we're not preparing for boots on the ground invasion. right now, the lies that Fox News and the Trump administration are putting out, trying to suggest that they've had success so far in the war, quote unquote, destroying their Navy, quote unquote, destroying their Air Force. Well, I don't see that's true. And it really doesn't matter because you cannot win a war of regime change against a country of 100 million from the air or from the sea. It has to be boots on the ground. And I have sort of been paying attention to the fact that the number of missile hits in Israel seems to have cooled off a bit. The expansion of the bombing campaign to the more sophisticated and larger sized missiles from Iran doesn't seem to have manifested in the way that I hoped that it would, because I think if they had, this war would be over. But Israel has control of the Straits of Hormuz, has control of the GCC countries, and they can afford to play for time. And that's what I think they're doing. And Trump, his failure to garner any support from the NATO allies or any other country just continues to prove that Iran right now, I think, can just sit back, try and defend themselves against the attacks that are coming from Israel and America. I just don't think they can project an offense that'll change Iran's stance, nor do I think Iran should. I think they should keep going until Israel surrenders. And Palestine, there's a two-state solution in Israel. This is a time to achieve that separation, that recognition for the Palestinian people. And I would hope that Iran doesn't quit short of that. Because if Israel can still genocide their Palestinian population, this war will never be over.
I mean, just going by the statements coming from the Iranian leadership, and I've always trusted it because I don't see that they try to play the public or their public perception. It doesn't look like they are going to be taking a backward step. They're moving forward with their strategy, and I think this is an existential um, war for them. It was upon them by the Americans and the Zionists. And look, like I said, we saw what they did during the Gulf War with Iraq during that period. I think it was about 8 years, where they didn't have the weaponry that they had at the moment. They didn't have the munition that they had at the moment. They didn't have the power that they had at the moment. And they persevered. The people, the IRGC, the politicians, the whole government withstood and were steadfast. So yeah, I don't see them capitulating anytime soon. And I'm right. I'm hoping.
And, they really have China and Iran support here, in part because this is going to lead to a de-dollarization, at least in the Middle East, and to support BRICS, alternative methods of trade that exclude America. And I think there's a tremendous amount of pressure on Trump, most of it quiet in Washington, D.C., to stop this because they see us losing so much more than at this point. I don't know how many Americans have died. 13 is what's claimed. Is probably more than 100. The pain is really being felt economically. And whenever you see Simon up here in the panel, it's a great time to join and learn about that aspect of it. It's another vector, asymmetrical warfare, economic warfare that Iran is also dominating. And I think that may be the one thing that puts an end to this. And Trump finds a way to just declare victory and get out.
Yeah, I don't think, from what everyone's saying, I don't think that anyone involved in this is looking for an off ramp. Everyone wants to keep fighting.
Yeah, no, I think that's entirely
Mhm.
wrong. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I respect your opinion, but I kind of see that as like no, really wrong because nobody. It's not that they want to keep fighting, or you said they want to keep fighting.
Yeah, like
I think
everyone's saying that Iran should keep fighting until Israel surrenders. Okay. Israel clearly wants to keep
Okay.
fighting until they've killed the entirety of the IRGC. They're clearly going after killing leadership targets, and they're going to continue doing that and focusing on that. Israel's objective here is complete and total regime change and revolution in Iran, and that's not going to be a short-term strategy. And then Trump, as long as the United States isn't taking losses, he doesn't mind continuing the bombing forever, as long as Israel wants to continue, which they will.
Look, let me say you weren't here, Mancos, in the morning when I came up. I came and I said, from some intel that I got that here and there, that there's talks from the headquarters in Turkey in Hamas that there is some kind of negotiation and deals on the table. But and I just want to say that I may be wrong, just so I can be a man and just face the consequences of what you say. What you say is like it's something. It's a bullet that once it goes up, once it goes out, it doesn't come back in. It doesn't come back. So I said something that I wasn't entirely sure of, but I truly am convinced of. Iran is not going to back down. Now they're just putting pressure on the GCC countries, mainly Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Kuwait, Jordan, and Qatar really is the intermediary for all of this. So if like that, when that missile hit, that was from the United States or from Israel. So they do these things just to start wars instead to instigate. But now everybody's sitting on the fence and waiting who's going to make the first move, and all these leaders are really cowards that no one wants to make the first move until the first until someone does it, and no one's going to do it until something really provocate like proves that like a provocation happens, and they have to step up and say something, whether it's something about religion, whether it's something about the people. They're gonna provocate something, and then make something happen because people got to make a stance. Are you with us? Are you against us? Because negotiations are off the table, and if they're on the table, like I said this morning, and I may be wrong about what I said, that there is no negotiations, then there never will be. But if there are negotiations, maybe they're doing it just to backstab the United States, just like they got backstabbed 1,000,001 times. Because I mean, they're chanting in the streets, "Your president is a pedophile." They seen the Epstein lists, and these people go into details of details of
Let me
details
ask
because
you
they
something,
have all the time in the
Omar.
world.
The
Go ahead.
Israel killing the de facto leader of Iran just this last night. What effect do you think that has on Iran and the Iranian war effort?
Absolutely nothing.
Zero,
Zero.
zero,
The
zero,
same
zero, zero.
way that if Iran killed killed Trump and killed J.D.
Zero.
Vance and killed Mike Johnson, the three politicians who were in line to succeed Trump.
Another three come.
Not America
Another.
would not go, oh, let's change our government and get rid of Trump. And no, they would react in anger and support for the war, the expansion war, boots on the grounds if that happened. And the same thing is happening in
You're
Iran. Did
basically
happen in
saying
Iran.
it backfires, right?
Well, it absolutely did because Trump's made it very clear, I think.
I think you cut out a little, Doc.
I mean, it's saying exactly that. So, like you saw, there's videos of the supreme of after the supreme leader and after this leader. Sorry, one sec. Let me move. After the people are standing in line trying to get their chance to become to be the successor, basically. So you kill one, another three come. You kill three, another 10 come. It's just the same way it works in Congress. Same works in the Knesset. same way in the parliament. You can't get rid of a person and be like, all right, the regime is done, and people are going to be
So
like,
you're
oh,
saying
wow, they did it. Now we
you're
can't do
saying it
anything about it.
increases Iran's resolve and their will to fight, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
So here's the
definitely.
thing, and this is my go. Oh, sorry.
Guys,
Go ahead, Beatrice.
no, sorry, Mancos, I'm going to give the mic right back to you. I just got I haven't read this out yet, but I'm going to read it out. We're going to read it out together. But Munia Brown has given a $20 super chat. And Munia Brown says, check out Joe Kent's resignation statement. So I'm just going to read it out. And thank you so much for that super chat. Guys, remember, like, the streamers out there that are all speaking about Iran, they've either made all their money or they're already established. Like Suleiman is spending all his time doing this 24 hours a day. He's not paid for it. He's got no income. He's demonetized on every platform, as Doc often reminds us. So all your support is gratefully received. That's the only way he can keep the 24/7 going, to be honest. But the director of National Counterterrorism, Joe Kent, has resigned his position in protest of the Iran war. And he says, after much reflection, so he's addressed it to President Trump. Let me just have a look if I can read the whole statement out rather than part of it. I didn't realize it was a letter. Okay, it says, President Trump, after much reflection, I've decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. And it's literally just hot off the press, this is. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to the pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. Whoa. And then he says, I support the values and the foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2016, 2020, 2024, which you enacted in your first term until June 2025. You understand that the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. In your first administration, you noticed better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars. You demonstrated this by killing Qasem Soleimani and by defeating ISIS. Well, I disagree with that. He didn't really defeat ISIS. They're ruling in Syria now. Anyway, earlier in the administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. They're saying high-ranking officials and influential members of American media did this. Okay, I guess maybe Elon. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States and that should you strike now, there was a clear path to a swift victory. That was a lie and is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times, and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people, nor justifies the cost of American lives. I pray that you will reflect upon what you're doing in Iran and who you're doing it for. The time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further towards decline and chaos. You hold the cards. It was an honor to serve in your administration and to serve our great nation. Whoa. That is something. So he is literally bish bash bosh Trump. Now, interestingly, right, I'm going to just share my thoughts really quickly. This guy, like, you've got to respect and admire him as a veteran to stand up and do this. But I've also got to just share my thoughts. He mentioned Iraq war, Americans died. Like, he doesn't care that America sent billions to kill Palestinians. He should be mentioning that. When he's talking about the poverty inflicted on America, he should be mentioning that we funded a genocide. But he doesn't care about that. He cares about his troops and his country. Fair enough. That's half the battle. I agree. Half the battle is getting Israel's claws out of America. And so he's halfway there. But yeah, that was the statement. I just want to check if Suleiman's back with us. He's going to do regime change in a
Oi
minute.
there, oi there. How's it going, guys? Back again. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate each and every single one of you. I think there's less people on in the night, though. That's the only thing. So I'm not sure if we should continue it and less support during the night. So, but anyway, appreciate every single one of you. Appreciate all the listeners, all the speakers. We're back. I'm back again. Can see some of this important news. It is huge. But yeah, guys, if you can retweet, reshare the space, let everybody know we're live. That would be awesome. There was something I was going to say, but I kind of forgot. Oh, yeah, we've got a big day today. We've got lots of things to speak about. Lots of interviews, actually. We've got, Saj. Well, actually, let me check because he was kind of, let me see. Yeah, that one's okay. Yeah. So we got, I did post this on the YouTube, the posts. Let me see. Okay, here it is. We've got Sergeant Brian McGuinness at 1 p.m. We got Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar at 4 p.m. We got U.S. Army Ranger Greg Stoker at 5 p.m. Ryan Dawson at 10, and then Rathbone at 11. So we've got quite a few collaborations coming, so watch out for those. Obviously, we'll give you the news as well. We've heard about the possible assassination of Ali Larijani. We've heard about the what else is there? The resignation of Joe Kent. And Netanyahu seems to have come out with the video, so we'll have to see what the internet people say about that new video announcing the death of Ali Larijani. So that's going to be interesting, to say the least.
I think you cut off, or was that just
Oh,
me?
I just kind of... I didn't go off.
You're getting lots of love on YouTube, Suleiman.
Hello?
You're getting lots of love on YouTube. Samira's like, oy vey, regime changing process. They're like, Sully, Sully's
Oh,
alive.
legends.
Like, only one person says thank you, pricks. Everyone's like, Sully's back, regime change, oy vey. They're not
Hey,
loving you.
I knew
Sully, I'm
Sully
gonna
was
turn
coming
on you,
back.
man.
That's why I came
I'm
back.
Team Beatrix.
Oy vey. We need regime change. We got a regime change now. Oh my God,
I'm
Omar,
telling you, I'm
don't
Team
simp, bro,
Beatrix.
please.
Hey, I'm a sim. Consider me a sim. I'm Team Beatrix. I
This
turned
is
on
the
you,
problem,
man.
bro. Don't be Isaiah. Don't be like Israelis. Never turn on your peeps. Always continue. Always continue. This is, you should know better. You would have been a brunt end with the Israelis, and now you're the one who fought the evil became the evil itself. Don't fall into the trap. Okay, guys.
He's been a man. He's been here all night, Omar and Andrew. I don't know where Andrew's gone, but Omar and Andrew all night. They didn't, like, in some spaces, people come up last minute and say, oh, I got aching bones and my muscles ache and I need to get my rest. And, I can't be talking on spaces. It cost me $400 a day. They're not like that. They're on it.
Simon and them, like...
Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Public, what do you think
fired,
about that,
public,
man?
shots fired.
No, when Sully's here, it's rain, sleet, or snow. What are you guys talking about?
I mean, there's a lot of people talking about the same subject. We said we were going to talk about this.
No, when Sully gets here, it's all back to business. 100% business. You guys are...
Okay, I've just seen some breaking news as well. Yeah, exactly. We are. Listen, this is it. I'm going to give the breaking news. We're back in business. None of this drama shama business. Okay, so guess what, guys?
Lollygagging.
Sorry?
It's called lollygagging.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool. We'll do some lollygagging. We'll stop the lollygagging, guys. Okay, let me read the statement. The USS Gerald Ford is heading back to Crete after a fire reportedly wrecked the ship. Remember, I did a video on this. 600 sailors left without a bed. Now they're checking if it was set on purpose to dodge the extended deployment. Crew already got caught earlier clogging toilets for the same reason. She's been out since June 2024, pushing record deployment time. Navy hasn't confirmed anything yet. So this is, if you remember my YouTube video yesterday, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday or the day before, where we went through this and I said about the Ford. And now what I said ended up being that case. We were like, okay, is the Ford damaged? Is there mutiny on the Ford? Well, it seems like the Ford is now returning back to its original location, and there does seem to be issues with it. Yeah, I did it on 15th. What's the date of this? So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Also, we got the debate that I did with the famous historian Roy Casagrande. It was last night, as you guys know. Wasn't expecting it to be a debate. I was expecting it to be just an interview, but things took a turn. Let's put it that way. Oh, nice one. I've already got a comment in there because I scheduled it. Someone wrote, well done, Sully, on pushing back on Roy Casagrande's anti-Russia, anti-Iran propaganda. Very few podcast hosts have the knowledge or will to push back. I do like Roy as a historian, but can't stomach his pro-Western bias. Yeah, this is it. This is what we do. This is what we do. I didn't expect a debate, but a debate came to me, and I just couldn't let him spew that propaganda, to be honest. I had to kind of push back in the most respectful manner possible. So yeah, that was that. Let's go to Mr. Abundance. Mr. Abundance, jump in.
Hello, and happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. I want to share a piece of news if you guys didn't see it already, which is
I'm so glad you waited until my shift had finished before you came on. Like, seriously, the morning I've had, right? I'm so glad. It was a sensible move, sensible move to do that.
why is she attacking me for someone else did? I gotta have to listen to the replay, I think.
Checks, bro. Go ahead.
Did you guys see Joe Kent resigned?
Yeah, you're like an hour behind, bro.
Okay. Well, I just read the letter, so it's pretty solid.
And if you just came up to say that, I'm extra glad that you did it on Suleiman's shift and not on mine. Because I'd have bish bash boshed you for coming up.
Wait.
Saying, hello, I got breaking news, which means you weren't listening to the space at all.
I just came. Oh, look, okay, hold on. Stop me if I'm wrong, but isn't it still the daytime? Isn't it your shift?
To be fair, Mr. Abundance, Khaleesi read the letter, but it was overshadowed by Suleiman coming back, so.
He came back to extraordinary warmth and applause, and like our leader came back, like a general.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
Suleiman, I have to tell you, this guy came up, and I'm telling you this because he's probably going to come back in the evening, because I told him if he's got a gripe with you, he needs to come back in the evening. This morning, his name was Yas or something, Andrew will remember, but he came up and he was like, oh, I've come here to, like, you and Suleiman, you think something like you talk like objectively, but you've got such a bias on your own country, Pakistan. You know, you've got such a bias on Pakistan. And he started smashing. So I said, oi, listen, matey, I'm not even from Pakistan. What do you mean your own country? So get your facts right. And he was like, or Kashmir or wherever you're from. Kashmir is still a part of Pakistan. I said, I'm not from Kashmir. I said, you guys need to stop peddling this nonsense to try to frigging find out. I'm British. And he was like, you can't even talk about your prime minister. He was talking about the Pakistani prime minister. I said, he's not my prime minister, you idiot. I said, the UK prime minister is my prime minister. And he was like, oh, you and Suleiman. And he just started crying. And I said to him, listen, I ain't got time for this. You give me a headache. Come back. If you want to talk to Suleiman, his origins are from Pakistan. Come back when he's here. And I said, because otherwise I don't want to talk about this. And that was it. Long story short, that was it.
I would have been like, what are your origins? Let's talk about those. I would like, he was playing a guessing game. He should have just came at you.
No, they flooded the frigging YouTube, and they were all on there saying, and I know who they are. They're all those people who smashed at the beginning of the genocide. They're all that lot, and they're like, oh, where's she from? Where's she from? Anyway, we've got some super chats here. NPC here. Oh, brother NPC, who's just left our panel. It says NPC here. Welcome back, Sully. Beatrix held the fort well, but regime was always inevitable. Regime change was always inevitable. Thank you so much. Mr. Twistans says, is the son gay? I don't know whose son you're talking about, but I think you're talking about Netanyahu's son. I don't know. You'll have to clarify whose son it was. The Cool 24681 gave a super chat saying, I loved your rant this morning. I like it. All right, I'll read it out. I loved your rant this morning, Beatrix, about the Western moral decay and nationalism. Only Islam implemented on this earth will bring humanity light. So when I do it, it's a rant. When Suleiman does it, it's like, I loved his speech this morning. I get it, right? It was a rant. Now, thank you guys. Appreciate the support and appreciate the super chats.
Beatrix, I actually have a
Yeah.
question. You were waving at me the other day. You just kept waving at me.
I was telling you to read your DMs, silly, and you weren't.
I went to the DMs. I DM'd you.
I know, but you hadn't seen my DM on top of that. I'd sent it to you. You didn't see it, but it doesn't matter now anyway. That's why I was waving. That's generally memes.
There's no there's no DM. I could screenshot or show you. That's so weird. Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. I'll send it to you. Don't worry. It wasn't an important anyway.
Okay. So wait, so I think the theory that we had, wait, is this guy is this Darth Vader?
He's jogging.
I think our theory that we were workshopping, and when Myron came in, that Trump is in an information bubble, is basically confirmed by Joe Kent's letter, right?
Explain.
Well, so I think Khaleesi was saying that he clearly sees, so they must have something super strong on him, right? He sees like how much of a disaster, and I was like, I don't know, Jared Kushner, Susie Wiles, all these Zionists are kind of like a filtering machine on everything he hears. He's on Truth, he's not on X, so no matter how much we complain on here, he's not seeing it. And on TV, he's just watching Fox News. And when he's under pressure, like a time like now, he does less press conferences, so he's facing the press corps even less. And that's especially in the second term. So I was arguing that he might be unaware about how unpopular this war really is, and it's just holding water with his own base, and not even the entire thing. And the letter from Joe Kent, he said that if I could just find the part, he said, yeah, um, early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States and that you should strike now. There was a clear path to victory. This was a lie, and this is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. Yeah, so that's kind of confirmation, right? They really had like the Twilight Zone, like alternate reality. Hold on him.
You mean like echo chamber in the sense of they believe that he's under this impression that they're winning?
Not just that they're winning. Even that it's popular, that he should have done it, that he should continue, that he shouldn't negotiate, that there was a threat, that there was a threat to the U.S. and or Israel.
Who do you think this president was that said, "Oh, I wish I did it," and he was like, "This guy was too weak to do it himself"? Do you think it's Biden?
No, I don't think he would talk to Biden. I don't think he talked
Clinton.
to Obama. I don't think he'd talk to Obama. Obama did the deal. He'd
So you think
totally
it was
never say
Clinton?
that. And Bush won, bro.
Oh, okay.
Definitely. right? He'd probably be like, I should have went in there like while we had Saddam in a chokehold. He would have helped us.
That makes sense. That makes sense for sure. Okay, let's go to Kit. Kit, thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Give us your thoughts. Okay.
Is that Carl you're asking? Carl, yeah, Carl, jump in.
Kyle.
Volatile Kyle?
It's Carl in American English. So Carl, what's up?
Carl, you got to unmute your mic, bottom left. Otherwise, we can't hear you. And if you don't do that and speak, we're just going to think you're a weirdo who wants to squat on our space when there's only one planet.
Right, Brother Public, right, Brother Public, squatting.
I've been
Okay, Carl, we
I've been
can't hear
squatting in
you.
listener lately a lot.
So, no, Carl, I know you're trying to speak. I can see you unmuting your mic. We can't hear you. So drop down and we'll bring you back up, okay? It was obviously a glitch. I know you're trying to speak. Yeah, good. Dropping down, bring you back up. Let's go to Malachi. Malachi, jump in.
Hey, sorry, what's squatting?
Squatting is like
Basically what the public is like. It's like living somewhere rent-free without doing anything, right?
Oh no,
So
no.
it's like in London. Yeah. When you go, people break into your empty property and they'll just live there rent free until you evict them. That's squatting.
Yeah,
So squatting
I
is
meant
when,
like
in space terms, is when someone comes and just sits on the panel, doesn't speak, but wants a mic and holds onto that mic and just sits there. That's squatting. And our resident squatter has always been Brother Public from day one, and we just cannot afford to let anybody else squat on our spaces. So he's a squatter.
okay, yeah.
Carl, you're back. Yeah, Malachi, I'll come back to you. Carl, go ahead. Thanks for rejoining.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Omar, I had a question. What was that? The title of that poem you recited earlier about the Middle East drinking from fractured cups?
There's no title to it. I just wrote it as something I was feeling during the moment. If you want me, I could read it for you.
Yeah. Do you mind?
No problem.
Thanks.
I mean, you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Spam to WhatsApp call. Do you mind if I answer this call and then read it, and then you guys take someone real quick?
Well, take your time.
All
Take
right.
your time. We'll keep Carl up
Thank you,
here
guys.
until you come back, brother. No
Thank
problem.
Thank
you.
you guys for this group. I love all y'all. Keep it going.
Oh, thanks, Carl. No, you stay on there and it's fine. I don't know, Fiat. I'll come back to you in a second, Malachi, but let me go to Fiat Fell because he's been squatting for a while. Fiat Fell, you want to talk? Fiat Fell, I'm a woman who remembers these profiles that come up to squat, right? You ain't going to come up again. You can unmute your mic, bottom left-hand side, and talk. Okay. He doesn't want to talk. Let's get rid of him. He's not going to be brought back up again. Now you can go, Malachi.
I'll be honest. I forgot what I forgot what I was gonna ask.
Someone messaged me, said, good job bringing up the Kent resignation again. They're not hyping it up enough. It's a big deal. I think I agree. I don't agree. I don't know about the not hyping it up enough, but
What about YouTube people said is true. They said he's jumping ship. He's jumping ship before the carnage. We don't know, do we? He sees which way the wind's swaying and he jumps ship. Did he say anything about Gaza, the genocide? Did he say anything about the billions spent arming Israel for that? So then what?
I do think that it's sort of seen from this cohort as separate and different from the Gaza genocide. They don't see the kind of the Ummah, the
It's
historical
not a religious thing,
tie-in.
though, Mr. Abundance. It's the fact that
No, I
he's calling
know.
out Israel. He's calling out impoverishing America to fund Israel. The biggest funding that was given to Israel was over the last 3 years, and this guy's just got blank mind to it. Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean by the history of Islam? Like, how does that tie in?
Not Islam. No. The history. I, I was trying to say another thing after the Omar. That's like, let's say 10%. Another 10% is it?
I think you're cutting out, bro. I can't hear you. I'm not sure about the others.
Yeah, he's cut out for me too.
Yeah, you're fixed. You're out. We can't hear you.
But I think it's hard for the MAGA base to really change their mind. I mean, a lot of them are a bunch of stubborn old men that don't just change their mind that easily. So they're
Yeah,
really
sorry.
getting like
So
slapped in the face by Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz on TV. It's really just like rubbing it in their face while they're suffering. So I think like they're one of our biggest like helps to helping them wake up is people like that. Just
I had a phone call. I'm assuming you're talking about Joe Kent, Carl, or
no, just the MAGA base in general. But I mean, what Joe Kent just said was right on point. He didn't mention the
yeah.
Palestinians at all. But
I
it is a
I
start.
agree. It is a. Go ahead. Sorry, Stark. There's kind of a delay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you just have this urge to speak at the same time when somebody else is speaking, so then we can't hear.
It's this urge. Uh, no,
Impulse.
he's hopefully he's here. No, it is kind of stark, but I do agree. It is a very big oversight to not mention the Palestinians. Um, but again, I do think that they see it as a separate issue, and it'd also be a lot to tackle into the letter to tackle in one letter. But this is a lot more pointed, and I think it serves a big part of it is that he's going to read this. He is going to read this, and I think from the way it was written, I think some of the intention is he's hoping to pop that information bubble. You know, let in.
So on YouTube, they're a bit divided. Let me read you some of the comments. But the real tomatoes,
When
the real tomatoes.
Here we go.
Squatting is what the Jews are doing. Oh, do you know what? Let me just like literally. I'm just covering for 10 minutes. If just behave yourself for 10 minutes, and then Suleiman can manage you when he comes back from Mr. Abundance. Yeah. So the real Savato says squatting is what the Jews are doing in Palestine, and they're debating how you did not know, Malachi, what squatting is, right? And then they're divided on this. They're saying Samira's saying, of course he's jumping ship. Don't congratulate these people. Oyave's put down, I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Jumping ship before the false flag, him being counter-terrorism. I agree. Commas, good point. Jumping ship before the false flag because he's counter-terrorism. He knows it's coming. Let's have a look. What else? They're saying Trump made it about another president, re-Iran. And then Luna Whispering Wolf says, yeah, Americans do not combine the two because many do not know or care about the Palestinian genocide because Trump also has his base. Ignore that.
Well, the
Yeah.
Zionist media has been doing that for decades, and they continue to have a great deal of
True.
influence, at least over older Americans, those Fox viewers. Those viewers, those hardcore viewers, are not changing their
Sorry,
mind.
Doc, give me 1 second. I just want to read the rest of these comments out. So when Brother Ivy was saying, can you hear me? Musti put, wish we couldn't hear you. And
Why
people
would
have
you
put,
read that out? Why?
he's
You
saying,
know how the YouTube hates me.
bro woke up and chose to hijack the space. These guys are on it. But then somebody does say, Leslie Van Newark says, I agree with abundance, W abundance. So there you go. It's a bit of a mixed flag. The false flag will not be
Thank
on
you.
US,
You
it will be
know,
on Egypt, NATO. Okay, go ahead, Doc. Sorry.
the YouTube commenters are the dancing Israelis from the
Don't check
hijacker.
out YouTube people. Don't attack our YouTube people. Doc, go ahead. What are we talking about, Doc?
No, I was just saying that.
Doc, you might. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. No, I think I said what I wanted to say is you can't conclude the attitude of the American people by virtue of the fact that they haven't risen up about the genocide because it's not covered here. Only recently has outlets like CNN and MSNBC started to cover it in a very sort of passive and middle of the road way. Fox News is they're pumping out propaganda that's completely the opposite of the truth, claiming victory, claiming that they're killing all the leadership, that the regime change is still possible, that Iranians will rise up now freed of their leadership. It's ridiculous. It's blatantly untrue. And I'm sort of an OG MAGA. And, I was a pro neocon back after 2001. And if I can see through that fog to where we are now, I think that there's hope. And I'm 67. I'm an old boomer MAGA, I guess, if you want to, or MAGA-tard. Uh, but the truth is out there. But you do have to seek it out. You do have to come in a space like this. You do have to steel man your own arguments. And until there's a lot of pain, as was brought on America in the first Gulf War, with so many Americans dead and so many trillions of dollars being spent. You need that, or you just need something to shake through for most Americans the fog of the propaganda. We've been taught to hate Islam and Muslims here for 20 years. You can look at movies, you can look at TV shows, even ones that are still being produced today, like a Netflix series called The Night Agent. It's CIA, and in their season 2, they're contending against radical Islam. Half of the series takes place in an Iranian embassy somewhere in Europe, where the women are fearful of the men. They have to dress in burqas and so on and so forth. So Islam and Muslims are still being characterized in the way that they were during the 90s and the 2000s. And before America attacked Islam and the Muslim faith, setting up the support for Israel's genocide, decades later, of course, Bibi has been talking about the Greater Israel project since the 80s. Same thing, he's been spreading fear about their nuclear program for the same amount of time. But before Islam and Iran became a target, it was Russia. You go back to all the Rocky movies in that era of the 80s where we were taught to hate Russia. Russia's has been our allies in our most critical fights in this country, World War II, and before that, the Revolutionary War. We've never been at war with Russia, but the media taught most Americans to hate them, and the same thing is true for 30 and 40-year-olds right now. That they've been taught to hate Islam, and that it's evil and it needs to be contended with. And the Christians, quote unquote, we are, quote unquote, a Judeo-Christian country. We're not. Nothing about our country has ever been defined by the Jewish faith. That's sort of a calculation that's been, put out for a long time. But we're an agnostic nation by law. Our First Amendment, free speech amendment, also extends to religious liberty. And the state is not supposed to adopt any particular religion. We're not supposed to be a theocracy by design. But right now we are, because Trump is surrounded by, controlled by the Zionists. And his Secretary of War is a guy who believes in Armageddon and building back the third temple, and he's really a Jew in every way that matters. But they're portraying themselves as Christians, quote unquote Christian evangelicals. They hate the Catholics, they hate the Protestants, They hate everyone but themselves, and this is what defines them as Jews and not Christians, and that's who's controlling our country right now.
Who's asking about the poem so I can read it real quick? Or should I just read it?
It was Carl, and he's dropped or it glitched out. Yeah, but if you can read it, that'd be great, and then we'll go straight to Myron really quickly. I'll pass it to Suleiman after you. Welcome, Myron. Go ahead.
All right, it's just basically about the colonial empires going from all the way from everything we know in history. So every single time, wow. Okay, I'm sorry. They drew the lines in the sand with warning, splitting one ummah into jealous shards. Tribe against tribe, sect against sect, Arab against Arab, Muslim against Muslim. Divide and conquer, their silent creed, turning brothers into strangers. So the empire could sip oil from fractured cups, while the people bled from self-inflicted wounds.
Thank you, Brother Omar. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
And with that, Suleiman's back. Suleimani back? Okay, he's not there. So let me go to Myron. Myron, how are you? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you. Sorry, I was
Okay.
muted. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you. Myron, have you seen Joe Kent's resignation?
Yeah, I literally just tweeted about it. This is a pretty
What do you
fucking
think?
big deal. And I'll tell you guys why. I wrote about it in my tweet, but I'll kind of summarize it for you guys here.
Is his volume low for you guys too?
It's low? I'll turn it up right now.
It's a little low, but it's fine. Go ahead,
I just
Myron.
turned it up. Is it better now?
Yeah.
It is? Okay. So here, you know what? Let me go ahead and pump it up just a little bit more. Okay. How's that now? Is that better? That should be perfect now.
Perfect.
All right, sweet. So yeah, the Joe Kent resignation, it's a really big deal, and I'll kind of explain why. I do know that we have a lot of international people here in this space listening, so I'll quickly go over what his duties were. So he was basically the deputy. He was the number 2 guy at what's called the DNI, or the Department of National Intelligence. And long story short, they oversee.
Myron, glitching out.
What?
Is he glitching out for anybody else?
Yeah, it is. It is glitching out, and the volume is still terrible.
All right, let me refresh my page.
I hear him, honestly. I hear him.
I think I hear him clear, loud and clear. To be
Yeah.
honest, yeah.
Let him come back because it was glitching out.
It sounds muffled for me.
Beatrix, is it okay if I add something really quickly while Myron comes back?
I think he'll be up here in a second, and I don't know how much time he's got, TT. So just give him a chance. Brother Public will bring him right up. Hopefully, Suleiman will be back, and then we'll jump to you straight away. Oh, much better. Thanks. Yeah.
Sorry about that. So yeah, for those that aren't aware, the number 2 guy over at the Department of National Intelligence, aka Joe Kent, he just resigned. He passed in his resignation letter. Basically, long story short, because this war with Iran. Now, the reason why this is significant is because this is a guy that's a combat vet. He lost his life he lost his wife in, I think, Syria, if I'm not mistaken. So he obviously understands what war is. He was around for the whole war on terror during Afghanistan and Iraq, blah, blah, blah. Now, the reason why this is a big deal is because this guy basically oversaw all the different intelligence components within the United States. Tulsi Gabbard was his boss, and the director of the DNI is responsible for briefing the president every morning. So since Tulsi Gabbard has to meet with the president, brief him every morning, she literally knows everything that's going on in all of the intelligence communities. This guy was number 2 to that, right? So this guy pretty much knew everything. So the fact that he's resigning is extremely, extremely telling, because what that tells me is he clearly could see what's going on with the war. He sees classified stuff that none of us are privy to, and he still decided to walk away. That's why this is such a big deal.
But do you see him walking away from an ethical standpoint, or from a point where he knows we're America's losing and it's done, and he just wants to save face, or where do you see it coming from?
You know what, man? I think the thing is, bro, he just was recently got this position. He hasn't been, the number 2 guy for long. So I do think it comes more than likely from a moral situation because, dude, it's a very prestigious position. Like being the number 2 guy at the DNI is huge, right? You're basically, you're right there next to Tulsi Gabbard, knowing all of our nation's secrets. So it's an extremely prestigious position, and it would have been a fantastic, step towards anything else he might want to do in the government. So I do think that his resignation is probably more than likely from an ethical perspective versus, seeing a sinking ship. Now, don't get it twisted. I still do think that he's smart enough to understand that this is a sinking ship, but I don't think that was what made him pull the trigger. I think probably 80 to 90% of it was ethical reasons, and then maybe 10% for self-preservation. But he simply hasn't been in the government long enough for me to make that conclusion of like, oh, it's just self-preservation.
Well, Myron, he was a guy that in Washington State, where I think he's from, and he ran for Congress twice, that the Democrats and the Republicans targeted. McConnell and others withdrew campaign funds from him. At the same time, Democrats were loading up support for his opponents, the Democratic opponents. So he's original MAGA, and I was really glad that he got the job. But what he's seen and what he saw and what continues to exist when you're supervising intelligence agencies is they are the deep state.
Yeah.
And so that was a fundamental promise going back to 2016 of Trump, that he would dismantle the deep state. Instead, the deep state has co-opted Trump in the entire administration.
But Doc, let me say this though. Let's be very honest here. Kent was also a part of the deep state. The guy was working for the CIA. He was doing a lot of these, operations that are highly classified. So I think if anything, that lends more credence as to him walking away. If this dude has seen some of the worst stuff and he still decided to walk away because of this war, that tells me that there's probably some crazy shit going on that he can't even co-sign. And I will say this too. Here's another little nugget for all you guys. Some of you guys might be aware of this. Some of you might not be. Because I do know that you guys bring in an audience of a lot of people from all over the world. This is a very international space. So for those that don't know, Nick Fuentes actually endorsed this guy a couple of years back. And he told Joe, look, I'm going to endorse you. I just have one rule. Do not fucking denounce me, right? And he agreed. Yeah, I'm not going to denounce you, whatever. All the Grapers got behind him. And what ended up happening was he condemned Nick, right, over the Israel situation, ironically enough, right? He condemned Nick over the Israel situation. The Grapers turned on him. He lost his election, and they pretty much, fucked him up. Now, think about that. He lost the position and lost the support of Nick Fuentes because he didn't want to go against Israel. Fast forward a couple years later, now he's saying Israel started this war. That's huge, guys. This guy used to be a Zionist, pretty much. But now he's saying, dude, Israel dragged us into this fucking war, which is crazy for a high-ranking political official to say. This is so fucking significant, guys. Like, as a guy that used to work for the government, that had a clearance, that, worked with members from the intelligence community, etc., having a government official go against Israel publicly in that manner, it's career fucking suicide. So the fact that he went ahead and still came out and said it, it's crazy, dude. And I think it really does prove that even someone like him that used to be a supporter of Israel, that condemned Nick Fuentes, even he came around and figured out Nick was right all along, and the rest of us, when it comes to our criticisms of Israel.
I think that
Myron, thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well.
Thanks. Sorry, Suleiman. I just wanted to just thank Myron for that and pass it to you. And that puts context around the super chat we got from Ethan Sevilla. I didn't understand it, but now I do, thanks for what you just shared, because Ethan said, I would love to see Nick Fuentes' response to Joe Kent's resignation, considering the beef between the two. And I thought, what's that about? But now I understand it. Thanks, Myron. Suleiman, sorry, apologies.
Yeah, no, the beef was literally Israel. So for him to come around, a couple years later and say Israel dragged us into a war, that's fucking huge, dude. And let's be honest. I met a lot of these politicians, these, right-wing political commentators. They all know deep down that Israel has way too much control, but none of them want to say it because the Jewish lobby owns Washington, D.C. Like, if you want to go ahead and be critical of Israel or any of that other stuff, be prepared to, get primaried. Be prepared to, have the AIPAC and these other lobby groups fund your opponents. It's like career suicide on the political level, especially federally. So for him to come around and say that years later, after not wanting to condemn Israel, tells me that he's taking the red pill for sure.
He was Marin. First of all, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. What's your thoughts on where this leaves Tulsi Gabbard? Because he was working in Tulsi Gabbard's department. She's also kind of built a career on this idea that she was anti-war, and then she's people have kind of admonished her for support in the Venezuelan war. What's your thoughts? And the previous Iranian 12-day war. So what's your thoughts on where this leaves her?
This is going to make her look worse. And I'll kind of go through why this is going to make her worse. Again, I know we got a lot of international people here, so I'm always going to give context. I apologize for the speakers. So Tulsi Gabbard, for those that don't know, she was a lifelong Democrat, right? During the 2024 election, Tulsi Gabbard and Kennedy Jr. were brought on the ticket to support Trump. They were basically, how do I say this? Promised a position if they got behind Trump. Now, the reason why this was significant is because both of them are Democrats. So for them to kind of, join the Trump coalition was a big deal. It added, kind of put them in a different light. Obviously, a lot of Democrats got mad at her for making that jump, but she went ahead and made that jump. And, she's obviously very well respected in the right wing now with the MAGA, blah, blah, blah. Now, I would say when it comes to Tulsi Gabbard, the thing that fucked her up was she went out, I want to say like last year, right? She under oath, Iran is not working towards a nuclear bomb. All the intelligence says this, blah, blah, blah. The IAEA, all the other stuff. And the fact that Tulsi Gabbard is saying that, she oversees the entire intelligence community. So she has everything up to date. So the fact that she came to that conclusion, I would argue, is she's the most credible person to make that conclusion. Not even the president can fucking make that conclusion, because Tulsi is the one that shows up to the White House every morning to brief the president. So she gets all the information first. And then not only does she get all the information first, she gets all the information first, and she has to go through it and present it in a way for the president where it's digestible. So, and this is why I've been not to go off topic here, but when everyone was like blaming Pam Bondi and Kash Patel for the whole Epstein debacle, I was like one of the few people that said, you guys need to start looking at Tulsi Gabbard too if you want to fucking come with the pitchforks, because the Epstein case had a significant amount of what's called high side information in the government. High side basically means classified. So we knew that Jeffrey Epstein was not just a sex trafficker, but more importantly, he was an asset for a foreign intelligence service. Once you find out someone is an asset for a foreign intelligence service, automatically that's going to be obviously pushed to the FBI. Everything that you do along that side is going to be classified, and you're probably going to have to work with intelligence agencies, because agencies like CIA specialize in international stuff. So the fact that it took us so long to get the FBI files and everyone was like barking up the tree of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, I said, look, we can condemn them too. They fucked up. But there's way more people here that we need to bring in. And Tulsi Gabbard was one of the people I actually mentioned. So first, I'll go through her blunders. So number one, the whole Iran doesn't have a nuclear bomb, right? Then she backtracks on it, because Trump famously was on a jet and they on Air Force One, and they asked him, hey, what are your thoughts on Tulsi Gabbard saying that Iran's not trying to get the bomb? This was right before the 12-day war, by the way. And he said, oh, I don't know what she's talking about, blah, blah. Basically admonished her whole fucking thing, which is hilarious because she's the one that gives Trump the intel. But I digress. So that was really bad. So Joe Kent walking away, I think, if anything, is going to put even more pressure on Tulsi Gabbard, given the fact that she had this Iranian nuclear bomb thing with Trump and the whole scandal with the Epstein file. Because I actually think, I'm of the opinion, she's more culpable for the Epstein debacle than Kash Patel or Pam Bondi. Because keep in mind, Kash Patel is the director of the FBI. The FBI has to report to the DNI because the FBI's part of their mission is domestic intelligence. So I would argue Tulsi has way more responsibility than those two. But the American public's not going to know this because the government is so compartmentalized. I hope that makes sense.
How do you think the Trump administration are going to deal with this? He, in the letter, made it seem like Trump was in some form of like echo chamber, or he wasn't aware of the reality of the situation. What's your thoughts on that?
Here's my thoughts. Within the next, let's say, 5 to 7 hours, be prepared for Trump to drop a True Social post calling Joe Kent a traitor and a backstabber. Get ready.
Do you think
he's gonna write a fucking? Bro's about to write a Shakespeare book calling Joe Kent a traitor, bro.
Well, he's been writing.
I call it within 12 hours. Within 12 hours, look at your Truth Social.
He's been writing those recently. He's even had to do screenshots because he's been writing such lengthy posts. But where do you think this is one of many? Like, what and why I mentioned the Tulsi Gabbard one was, do you think this is this may be a chain reaction of resignations?
It could be. It could be. I think what he's doing is he's kind of setting the bar. And if Tulsi Gabbard stays, it's going to look kind of bad, especially with like the other black guys I had mentioned before. Like that whole Iranian nuclear bomb situation was, I mean, you can make the claim, hey, she told the truth. It was Trump that was acting retarded. But the fact that Trump undermined her information like that was really disrespectful, to be honest with you guys, because she's the one that meets the president every morning to brief him. So like, he's not going to know more than her. Like, what the fuck? Like, dude, she literally goes to all the agencies, gets all the print information, prepares it for him, shows up to the fucking White House and briefs him. So like, how are you going to sit there and tell her her information's bad? Like, what? Retarded, dude. Retarded. And this is the thing. Like, if the American public knew what a lot of these government officials' positions were, they wouldn't be as they wouldn't be sleepwalking through all the bullshit that we got going on. You know, thank God Joe Kent, you know, kind of realized, hey, what the fuck's going on here? I can't support this. And it's even more of a big deal because he probably saw classified shit that none of us will ever see when it comes to this war, and he still couldn't find a justification to stay on. So that tells me it's really bad.
Well, one of the important things, another important thing that he mentioned in that letter was, remember, this is a guy who served in the Iraq War. I believe he lost his wife as well in war.
Yep, I mentioned that too.
Oh, okay, yeah. And so, and he actually said that war was for Israel. He said this war is for Israel and it's because of the Israeli lobby. I mean, that kind of destroys the entirety of Trump's credibility. But what's your thoughts on someone like that saying that specific point?
Powerful. Like, I really want to harp for your audience how big this fucking is. Guys, this is the number 2 fucking guy in America when it comes to our intelligence community. This guy is over the director of the CIA. This guy is over the director of the NSA. This guy's over the director of the DIA and all the other members of the intel community. And he still said, fuck this war's retarded, right? You would think with that much access, that much unrestricted access to classified information, he'd be able to find some type of justification for this war. And the fact that he couldn't and he's walking away speaks volumes. And I think this is going to be, how do I say this? This basically, everyone that's anti-war, we're basically all vindicated. I'll put it that way, you know, for lack of a better term. If you're anti-war, this is going to be your new talking point. Like, I'm already ready to debate the Zionists now at this point. Like, this is huge. Huge.
Yeah. Good laugh, abundance. So
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry. After you. So yeah, you actually asked one of my questions, but in a much funnier way, where you said what the Truth Social thing. Because I was gonna say, how much do you think he's speaking to Trump? How much do you think he's speaking to the public? I think we answered that. The other thing I was gonna
or who's speaking to the public?
Joe Kent. Kind of how you always like to talk about how Netanyahu speaks English for the Americans, Hebrew for the Israelis. Who's he speaking to? What language is he speaking to? Trump or the public?
When you mean like with his resignation letter, or day to day?
Yeah. No, his letter.
Both. I think he's talking to Trump obviously directly, but I think look, let's be honest here. We're all human. He definitely did this like to kind of, you know, give himself a little bit of credibility and get some praise. But honestly, he has balls of steel for doing this. I already looked at the comments and I saw a bunch of people calling him a backstabber and all this other shit, but it's like, bro, this war is so bad that someone needed to do something drastic like this to like wake people up. And this literally vindicates all of us on our suspicions on this war being retarded.
I don't think it's someone saying that, commenting that. That's an animal. That's an idiot. Like, we gotta shun these people, man. But that guy's just, they're idiots at this point. They're traitors. Like, they're living on the rock. That doesn't matter. But you know, you also said though that he kind of did it for a moral reason. I think Omar maybe someone asked you. You think it was more moral? I had no idea that.
I think it's majority.
I wasn't
moral.
sure.
I think it's majority moral, and then like 10 to 20% knowing that this is a sinking ship. Because let me tell you why it was moral. He just killed his career in government for a while. That's why I know it was moral, because he's going to get blackballed everywhere in DC from this point forward. He probably will never be able to hold a clearance and or have any type of real position within the government, at least for the next few years under this administration.
Well, under this administration, sure,
Yeah.
but isn't he now aligning himself with politicians like Massey, Bernie Sanders, actually, the anti-war crowd? He's aligning themselves with that
He's
position.
bolstering his political
And
career. I agree with that.
yeah, I think that he's looking forward in a way that many politicians may be secretly looking, but haven't had the guts so far to do so. And he's in a position where he would understand that the CIA and the intelligence communities continue to be corrupt, continue to be deep state, continue to be controlled by Zionists. Maybe he accepts the position, understanding that, having worked in the CIA before. But there is a certain moral and ethical position that he and Tulsi could have taken, which is, we know what the intelligence communities are corrupt, and they're one of the faces of the Zionist control in our country. But maybe I can do more from being on the inside. Kent's been on the inside for a
I
while.
think for him, the only way he would be able to get a career in government again, a Democrat would have to come in and bring him in, because the thing is when it comes to, and I'm sure you know this, Doc, but just for the audience here listening, the Republican Party is like the last safe haven for the Zionist lobby. So if he were to get a government job again, he would either have to go back to the Democrat Party. I know he's more of like a libertarian, if I'm not mistaken, but he would probably have to align himself more with the Democrat Party, because the Republican Party, I would argue, we got at least 1 or 2 more election cycles where the Israelis are going to have super fucking, a tight grip on the right wing and the GOP in general. But hopefully, after 1 to 2 election cycles, we'll have some fresh blood in there that are anti-Israel. The people that are watching TikTok today that are saying fuck Israel, hopefully some of those people will get positions of power in the government within the next.
But I think that's what he's looking towards. I think he's looking. When you confirm that, I was in.
Bro, you got to remember, that's a long time from now, dude. We're talking we're talking 10 years now at this point. So I'm saying if he wants to get back, relatively soon into the government, he would have to probably go, and work with the Democrats.
Well, that's what Tulsi Gabbard did in reverse. She was a pariah to the Democratic Party, right? And she became an independent, and then agreed to join the Trump administration, where he built a coalition of right, left, and middle, along with Robert Kennedy. So yeah, I mean, Joe could be looking at it that way. I don't think so. I think I'm more optimistic about a slate of people like Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Joe Kent, and others who will call out the Republican Party and try and bring them back to off the edge and from under the Zionist control. I think either one is possible.
So I like that. I like that you said that. So this is my thing. If Joe Kent, MTG, Thomas Massey, all these like anti-Israel politicians, if we're gonna take our country back, they're gonna need to all align. So that means they're going to have to, bury the hatchet with Ilhan Omar. They're going to have to bury the hatchet with people like Rashida Tlaib and figure out a way to get into power in real positions and effectuate some actual change. Because the problem is that there's not enough of these, anti-Israel politicians, right? At least at this point. Or if we do have them, they're overwhelmingly in the Democrat Party, or they don't have any real position of power. So, and I was actually talking about this with Suleiman. Here's the nightmare fucking candidate. If we can somehow get a candidate that is pro-strong borders, pro-law enforcement, pro-immigration enforcement, but is also big on social safety nets, big on making sure that veterans get taken care of, making sure that elders over 65 get taken care of, some type of healthcare system. That candidate right there, is going to fucking cook. And let me tell you why. That candidate handles some of the most sensitive issues that people complain about. Let me give you guys an example. If you look at any prominent left-wing political podcaster, right, or politician for that matter, they're not really progressives like that anymore. They tend to lean more on socialist, right? like a lot of Democrats nowadays literally proudly call themselves fucking socialists. So if you're gonna pull in that crowd, right? Like the Hassan Piker fans, the Kyle Kalinskis, all this other stuff. If you're gonna pull that crowd to beat one of these established political parties like a Republican Party or a Democrat Party, if you actually want to actually beat them as an independent, you're going to have to create like a monster hybrid that kind of, they take the most populist points from the other parties and smash it into one. Now, let's be honest. Is it going to be easy to do? No. Are we going to have to make concessions? Yes. I know a lot of people here are hardcore capitalists, but if you want to eliminate the Zionist control of our country and put someone in that's actually going to do something, we are going to have to give something up to get that left-wing vote or that Democrat vote.
Well, pragmatism is going to have to rule the day politically after, even starting in November. And we're starting to see some breakaways. And the other, what we're talking about here with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and don't forget Matt Gaetz, these were the original Freedom Caucus members. They were the ones who were trying to pull away from the Zionist control. Matt Gaetz was the first casualty of the Zionists. He's nominated to be Attorney General, and Trump was told that he can't be elected by Mitch McConnell and the senators.
He didn't even try. That's what kind of pissed me off because he got named as potential Attorney General. And then people started bringing up all the bullshit with FBI. He just backed out. He didn't even want to bother with going to the Senate confirmation. And when I saw Kash Patel and Pete Hegseth get confirmed, and they have really fucking crazy pasts, I was like, damn, Matt Gaetz should have just stuck it out. He probably would have got through.
Well,
I think just on what you said, Myron, I think it's a lot more complex. I think someone like Joe Kenner, I believe that the reason he resigned is actually to have his own personal political career. One thing about the right wing is that there definitely is this big movement, which is this anti kind of Israel, anti foreign lobby movement. And I think he wants to place himself within there with Tucker Carlson and various others. If you look at the Democrats,
but what I'm saying is, I'm saying that's I agree with you. That's where we want to be. But I still think we're 1 to 2 election cycles away from that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it could be, but it depends on how many American lives are lost in this war. Because
that could play a role for sure.
Yeah, because 2028, which is basically 3 years from now, 2 years from now, someone like Massie probably may have a decent chance. And the reason I say this is because if you look at the Democrats and the possible candidates that they are putting ahead, now that candidate may not win. At the moment, Gavin Newsom looks like the front runner. He's massively controlled by the Israeli lobby. AOC is the other one where people know, those who are aware know that she is, but the average Joe probably doesn't. So I think with the Democrat Party, it may even be hard for him to even get a position on there. But unless there's someone like Massie was...
I would say this. Yeah. The only way, and this is what I was saying, and I'm glad you said that because that got my brain thinking. The only way they would win, right, is number one, they'd have to run independent, this individual. And all the people that are anti-Israel, because since they all have big social media platforms, we're talking Tucker, Joe Kent, MTG, Thomas Massie, all the other people that have a voice that could potentially get into politics or already in politics, they're going to have to align and create a coalition. That's the only way an independent is going to be able to beat one of these juggernauts, whether it be the Democrat Party or the GOP.
Well, Joe Kent is...
But
Joe
what if
Kent
he sees
is
that on the...
what to call it again? A Tucker Carlson guy anyway. So them guys have been together for a very long time. And this may have been through directions from him. Maybe it could be maybe Tucker Carlson doesn't actually want to run, and maybe he may
Tucker should run, bro.
I think he won't.
I think he needs to fucking run at this point. I know he's not really interested in that, but let me tell you why. The reason why he needs to run is because he still has that boomer base that's retarded, and he's slowly red pilling them. But at the same time, he does have a decent amount of young people that watch him as well, right? He's grown on a lot of young people.
So I think I think he comes with Tucker, he comes across as a bit more goofy and not like a politician. I actually think the better move would be for him to put his hands around someone like Joe Kent. Joe Kent's his guy anyway. They're basically best friends. And he's been supporting Joe Kent all these years in his career. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one who got Joe Kent this job in the Trump administration. So if he got someone like Joe Kent as I don't know, Massey's a VP. I think that might be the move that they're trying to make, where Joe Kent
but
becomes the
remember,
VP
Sully,
candidate for someone like Massey. He's represented by Tucker. Tucker's putting on him, will put him on his show. He'll put him on with Candace Owens, all the big names, because Joe Kent is his guy. And one of the issues Tucker had with Nick Fuentes was the fact of the fight between Joe Kent and him. So he's very close to Joe Kent. So I think he might use Joe Kent as the kind of more professional, war veteran, military person, quite articulate version of himself.
Yeah, I mean that he could do that. They'd obviously have to really push him. I think Tucker on his own can, probably do some real damage, and then he can always bring in Kent as an advisor or his running mate or whatever. But I think them running on a ticket would pose some really fucking serious problems and be good.
And that's
maybe.
Go ahead, Abundance.
Go ahead.
Make it a question though.
Maybe. Yeah. So when you confirmed that this guy was the one that betrayed Nick Fuentes, it made me think, move a lot more from the moral to the political gain side. What do you think that he maybe is seeing things or seeing on the horizon a rate of acceleration on how?
Is he cutting off?
How fast things are changing? Even this this is probably cope.
He's glitching.
Abundance, you're cutting
He's
off really
glitching
bad.
out. You'll have to reset. I guess just coming back to the point with Nick Fuentes, obviously that was a different time as well. Like obviously, I don't think you should betray anyone. But that being said, it was a totally different time in the sense of this guy's was trying to do a political career, and Nick was kind of very. Like to basically,
people forget that back then Nick was radioactive. Nobody was able, no one wanted to touch him. So, and when he came at Nick and said, "Hey, when he disavowed Nick, it was mostly on the Israel stuff." But fast forward a couple years later, we see the genocide in Gaza, we see the foreign wars, we see what's going on. I think Joe Kent probably had an epiphany over the past couple of years and got Jew-pilled.
I think they were on the same page, but he betrayed him.
He wasn't. So
he caved to the Israel pressure.
Exactly, he did cave, but I also think he didn't know how bad it was with them until now. Does that make sense? Because remember, guys, you got to remember this, Abundance. I need you to put put yourself in the shoes of like an average American, right? You're an Arab, so off rip by being an Arab or being a Muslim, you're already 70% ahead of 99% of Americans. Like things that we would say, how the fuck do you not know that? Americans have no clue what you're talking about. So that's why this is a big deal, because it took October 7th to red pill America. Obviously, the rest of us know that this has been going on for decades. But for Americans, it took October 7th and the subsequent genocide to wake them up.
But Myron, I think the difference is that we're the general population. The politicians know Israel's chokehold on the country. They just don't care. They literally are corrupt.
No, of course, the politicians know. But what I'm saying is that it's, even though people are getting red pilled on the Jews, it's still relatively new. You know what I'm saying? That's why I think it's going to take like 1 to 2 election cycles to really root out the GOP and all the other fucking politicians that support Israel. Because this is my prediction when it comes to the Democrat Party. The Democratic Party in 2028 is going to campaign on, we're not taking AIPAC money, we're putting America first, and we don't want any more wars like Trump just.
So you think Gavin Newsom's not going to win? Because he definitely is an AIPAC guy. And if you remember the famous interview he just did recently, he literally almost had a malfunction of the brain just because he was asked about AIPAC.
Yeah, but I remember that interview. It was like 2 black people asking him. But what I'm saying is, he's not gonna openly like say I get money from AIPAC anymore. Because in the Democrat Party, I think 90% plus of them don't approve of the wars in Israel in general. So if he does get Jewish lobby money, he's gonna have to come from some other shell company. But I think the Democrat Party is gonna run heavy on Trump's war, being against Trump's war. Obviously the higher cost of living and not getting support from Israel.
See,
I think those are the 3 things they're going to run. And I'll tell you why, and I'll lay my plane here. The reason why I say that is because Mamdani showed that it could be done. Mamdani's going to be, mark my words, you guys heard it here. The Mamdani campaign that got him mayor of New York City is going to be the campaign that the Democrats use in 2028.
See, I think that it depends on who wins on the Republican side. Because if someone like Massey wins, then you're right. The Democrats are going to have to change gear. If someone like Joe Kent or someone wins, yeah. But let's say they're up against someone like JD Vance or Marco Rubio. I don't even think they're going to go down that road again because they know these guys are controlled by Israel, AIPAC, and they actually did a war for them. Those guys will just be like, we don't agree with war. They're fascists. They're totalitarian. They like yesterday that debate I had with that famous guy Roy Casagrande. They were like, "This is a theocracy." So they'll be going down that road, and then an average American will be like, "Oh, lesser of two evils. We're gonna have to choose the worst, lesser worst AIPAC guy." So I think it depends on who they run against. If they run against a Republican who is less controlled by Israel, then you have a chance of the Democrats waking up. But if they run against basically Rubio or Vance, I think that they're not going to even go down that road. They'll just play the whole right wing's fascist. Look, they murdered those women. Look at they got a theocracy. Trump's a totalitarian, and he's taken us to war. I think they'll run around that as opposed to like not being APAC.
I don't see
Oh,
as a
that's
As a
very
Californian, I don't see Gavin Newsom winning. He doesn't have a record that can translate into a campaign that's going to hit the high points that'll allow a Democrat to win. He
Dude,
ruined this state.
Sophie Rain made more than LeBron James. People just care about how people look in this country, how they
Yeah,
appear and
people,
present in the
the
public.
entire basis of support for Gavin Newsom is based just on what he looks like without actually knowing anything about him. He's not actually even that popular in California.
He's
yeah. So
hated in California, right?
here,
Right now,
I'd
we
like to
have
hear
a Republican leading the polls, Steve Hilton, leading the polls in California. And there's a sheriff, I forget his name. He's either second or third. I think a Republican is going to win the governorship here because people are. I mean, I'm in Beverly Hills. I know this crowd, huge supporters of Obama, the huge Zionist control, and just a signpost of change that I saw was at the Oscars the other night, where Javier Bardem came up and said, "No wars, free Palestine," and the crowd erupted in cheers. That's a crowd full of Jews and Zionists. It's amazing.
yeah, I mean, and this is kind of the crux for like liberal Jews in America, because the concept of Zionism goes against democratic values that they cheer. So it's kind of like a weird situation for them. It's like a catch-22. But no, Suleiman, it's very interesting that you mentioned that dynamic where they wouldn't use the AIPAC card if they competed against a Rubio or a JD Vance, because all they got to do is just beat them up on the fucking war, and they won't have to go down that road. But I still think that the Republican Party needs a little bit more time, because I still do think even if Rubio or JD Vance came in, we're probably still going to get a swamp creature in, at least for this next one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying that annoys me because I know that the Democrat Party are then going to be completely full on supporting the Israel lobby as well. And the
Infuriating.
only way to make them change their to go for a non-government, and I'm just giving Gavin Newsom as an example, any of these Israeli controlled candidates, is the fact that they go up against a Republican candidate who is also not controlled by Israel. Because I know what they're going to do. They'll do the whole lesser of two.
But here's the thing: they won't even make it. That's the key, though. If a Republican that tries to go against Rubio and JD Vance that doesn't support Israel, dude, he won't even make it, bro. The GOP is so fucking cucked when it comes to the Jewish lobby.
And that's the problem, because by the way, I'm not disagreeing with you, because I think you're actually right. But that being said, if that is the case, the problem is I think the Democrats are also going to be very similar, controlled by the Israel lobby, because then they'll do is just make the election into culture issues and war, and that'll win it, and you'll still be controlled by Israel. So this is actually would be a wet dream for the Israel lobby, because then they've got another 4 years of another pro-Israel candidate, whether he's on the right or the left.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic analysis. And I think they know that the window's closing and they can only do this for like 1 or 2 more cycles.
Because you saw, right, in the last election, and it has been like that, where people are just like, what's the lesser of two evils? And that's kind of what they've created. The ideal situation, what you said, is if because the Democrat Party is actually anti-Israel, if they actually had a non-Israel party, a non-Israel member, he could actually win. But you have to remember, But also, you have to remember as well, if you look at the primaries, the Republican primaries compared to the Democrat primaries, someone like Trump could never win a Democrat party because of the super PAC votes, the super votes. Whereas someone like Trump won the Republican, being an outsider, being a random guy, because it is democratic. It is like, actually, if people want this guy to win with amongst that party, they'll win. And why I say that is, the way the Democrat voting system in the primary is so manipulated that actually the establishment ends up choosing the guy, means that whoever they want, which is going to be the pro-Israel guy, is likely going to win. This is why Bernie Sanders got screwed over and he ended up giving his thing to Clinton and Bernie Sanders. So the Democrat Party is actually much worse when it comes to actually giving people the voters a real example of someone they really want to vote for.
The Democrat Party is much more elite
The
captured.
super delegates. The super delegate, literally called super delegates.
Which is like, and they've got so many votes that it's like it ends up being whoever they want wins. So the whole
and not just that, the media, who are the getaway drivers in this robbery of the American people, they lie all day.
Exactly.
They say, "Oh, what's the count with the super delegates?" What do you mean? The super delegates vote with whoever has the most delegates. No. We're gonna count the super delegates before, so it looks like the guy's already losing. That's what they did with Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, of course. And so that's why, again, even though the Democrat Party is is more anti-Israel, less controlled, there's actually less of a chance of an anti-Israel candidate winning. And then the irony is the Republican Party, which is more pro-Israel, there's actually more of a chance of an anti-Israel person winning because of the structure of the system.
You know how much effort. I want to just ask also the question because I was getting cut out. I was getting cut, like my connection. But I just want to say, you know how much effort it took to not unmute and scream. How infuriating what you were saying was, where it's exactly correct. They want to say it's fascism. It's this. It's that. It's their blue coat. It's the weather on Tuesdays. They don't want to say anything about AIPAC. So if they get in front of them one of these swamp monster lackeys, they would love it. Oh my God, the Democrats would love that. Wet dream, it does not begin to describe what that's like for them. But I want to ask Myron, what chance do you think that Joe Kent is seeing even like a change in the intelligence? This is total code probably, but seeing a change in the intelligence community where he's seeing like they're kind of getting an ego, like a cut to their ego, where they're like, we don't want to be under Israel's thumb anymore, and they're kind of going against it.
Yeah, I mean, I think from his perspective, you know, this is a guy that's sensitive to wars in the Middle East because his wife died. So, I think from his perspective, he probably saw some really disturbing shit, right? Because obviously for the rest of us, right, none of us, you know, have access to the Pentagon and shit like that, right? But Joe Kent does. So he must have saw something, you know, that we will never see that made him say, fuck this, I can't be involved in this anymore.
But what if it's positive? You think he saw something like, he said he saw, well, even the intelligence community, the CIA guys are like, we don't like Israel. We're done with this. We're done with this. And they're thinking,
I think he saw something that probably bothered him, or he just couldn't come to the moral situation. Like, why the fuck are we in this war? You know what? Hold on. No, holy shit. It just hit me. Okay. All right. This just fucking hit me. Did you guys know that the intelligence community compiled a whole fucking research paper basically for Trump and gave it to him days before the Iranian bombing and told him, look, you're going to need to do boots on ground. If you do that, we're going to have massive casualties. The probabilities of overthrowing the Ayatollah and getting a regime change are slim, blah, blah, blah. Now that I'm connecting the dots, that report was prepared by the intelligence community. Joe Kent was probably in some type of hierarchy of looking at that document before it got approved and sent on to a higher official. It would be Tulsi Gabbard in this situation. So, and not a lot of Americans know that literally days before Trump bombed Iran, he got a classified briefing. They gave him a document and they warned him about all this stuff. And it recently got declassified. I think someone did a FOIA or some shit like that. But it's there, clear as day. Hey, this is what you're looking at with this war. It's going to be a problem. And I think him still going to war that might have been the tipping point for Joe
Or
Ken. Obviously, I'm
Myron,
really
even more than
speculating,
that. You actually
but
made me
yeah.
think that. Do you think it could be? Well, you're right about everything you said. It's a great point. I wish I'd flipped it. You said this before I made the video.
Bro, when it came to me,
But
it's like a light bulb. That's why I had to
yeah,
fucking. I was like, oh shit,
but
I forgot
also,
about
do you
this.
think, just to add to what you're saying, do you think then that the reason he's done his resignation, because he could have done it 18 days earlier, is they've got confirmation of boots on the ground, based on what you're
That
saying?
could be it. There you go. Yeah, that's a really good theory. Because if you look at his letter, one of the things he harped on was Americans dying. So, bro, we can speculate all day in here, but I think these are some really educated guesses.
Somebody in the YouTube
It's
chat
the power of
earlier.
Mr. Abundance.
Somebody in the YouTube chat earlier.
Sparking these ideas.
Yeah, somebody in YouTube chat earlier said that he was part of counterterrorism,
Yes, he was. He was.
and being that there could be a possibility of a major false flag on the horizon, that he resigns before something would occur.
Well, if that's why he resigned without mentioning that or strongly inferring it, then he's being political. Because if he resigned because he fears that America is going to attack itself, a patriot, a veteran, someone with CIA experience both before and now, if that's what he's concluded, then he's complicit with whatever attack comes on Americans. He needs to call it out. So I don't think that's likely, that particular.
Well, you know what else? I just thought about this. He probably also knows the real amount of casualties. That's another fucking big one. Because and for the audience here, yo, all you guys better fucking, support my guy Suleiman before I give you guys this. You guys better all follow his YouTube channel.
Retweet
I'm only
this
in
shit.
This fucking space on this horrible fucking platform for Suleiman. So all you guys need to fucking sub to his channel. Shit. Okay, let me rewind. Back on like the first day of the war or the second day of the war, there were very credible reports that civilian Kuwaiti hospitals had an influx of very highly injured soldiers. Now, the mainstream media didn't report on this for weeks. It just recently came out a couple of days ago. And that's when they said, oh, yeah, roughly 150 soldiers were, servicemen were injured. And some of them were really bad injured. Like, we're talking like they're maimed, like they're going to have to get amputations, etc. And it took weeks for the government to finally come and say, yes, it's 150, blah, blah, blah. So that might be another thing. It could be he knows there's boots coming on. Okay, let's go through this. Let me summarize all this. Step one, they prepared this intel report, presented to Trump. Mr. President, this probably isn't a good idea. You won't be able to effectuate a regime change without boots on the ground. That's going to be a catastrophe. We're going to lose a lot of casualties. I don't think this war is worth it. Boom. He ignores it, goes to war anyway, right? While they're in war, he's getting real-time numbers and stats on everybody that was killed or seriously injured. So we know it's like, what, 13 or 16 or whatever with roughly 150 soldiers that were, significantly injured. Dude, there might be even more than that. And that might be another reason why he's walking away.
Well, keep in mind that under our law, the Department of Defense does not have to disclose the deaths or injuries of special forces or CIA officers.
You said they do or they don't?
They do not.
Yes, 100%. Yep. And let me take
And the Title 50 versus Title 10. The Title 50 versus Title 10.
Well, let me say this. The other thing too, also, because I like that you mentioned that, Doc. A bunch of CIA and Mossad operatives have been killed, and my suspicion of that is because if you look at all the hits in Dubai, it's on like high rises, it's in like random areas that's precise. So what I think is all those drone strikes probably killed foreign intelligence officers. And yeah, you're right. They don't have to report that.
The Title 50 guys, like the CIA guys, we don't hear about those casualties, period. The Title 10, like military guys, are the ones that they release, say servicemen died, this, that. So the CIA, we don't know how many.
Yeah, that's what I just said about this.
Intelligence
Thanks
guys, yeah.
for echoing it.
Yeah, I was just kind of clearing up like what I meant. Title 50, Title 10, kind of cryptic.
Yeah, well, you're going to
Myron
define
knows.
it for the people who don't know what that is. You have an international audience here, so let's define Title 10, Title 50, please.
That's why I do it every time I talk.
You want to define it, Myron?
You got it.
So Title 50 is basically like the presidential, his operations under the CIA kind of thing, right? Foreign, and 10 is just very clearly military service, right? So a lot of the times when there's a raid like the Bin Laden raid, that's not necessarily like illegal under Title 10, they'll transfer those SEAL Team 6 guys or Delta Force guys under the CIA into the Special Activities Group, and they'll be operating under Title 50, where they have, plausible deniability. They don't have to come clean. They don't have to report deaths. They don't have to report captures. They don't have to even acknowledge that that person worked for them, to the other country. So it avoids diplomatic incidents, which would be a case here, right? They have, so the Title 50 is the intelligence side, and Title 10 is the armed forces. The Title 50 guys, if they're either not declared in that country, or they're being shacked up in somewhere that they shouldn't be, like somewhere highly dense civilian population, the U.S. government's not going to really want to acknowledge that those guys were hit, right? There's a whole bunch of reasons.
So
So yeah, basically Title 50 is war and national defense. Title
okay, so
10
I've got
armed
this
forces.
post by Laura Loomer, and as you know, Laura Loomer is very much intrinsically linked with the Trump administration, has a huge amount of power within that. I read a report today that Laura Loomer was the first person Trump called as soon as he decided to go to war with Iran. Laura Loomer, don't get me deported from Florida. Oh, Laura, don't get me deported from Florida. That being said, let me just read to you what she had to say. Quote, notorious leaker Joe Kent just resigned from his role as director of
She's on it.
Sorry?
No. I said she's fucking on it immediately.
Yeah, she's on it straight away. And listen, Laura, don't get me deported. Laura, I'm just giving news. I'm just giving news, right? But reading this, she says, notorious leaker Joe Kent just resigned from his role as director of the National Counter-Terrorism Center. Kent reports to Tulsi Gabbard. I have been warning you all about Joe Kent for a very long time. I predict Tulsi Gabbard will resign next. As I said in my post yesterday,
Bam.
Kent is another Tucker Carlson acolyte who undermines President Trump every chance he gets. His wife, Heather Kaiser, works for Trump hater and rabid Jew hater Max Blumenthal, who is married to a radical Muslim woman. You'll recall 7 months ago, well, Max Blumenthal is a Jew himself, but anyway. You'll recall several months ago, Kent suggested I was a Mossad spy with zero evidence at all. He was caught leaking President Trump's private meeting with Mark Levin to Tucker Carlson a couple of months ago, and he was told by White House advisors that if he got caught leaking again, he would be fired. Kent even admitted to leaking to Tucker. You'll notice that Kent is resigning the same day it was announced that Dan Caldwell will be joining the ODNI government after he was fired by Pete Hegseth for leaking. It's also important to note that this is happening one day before Tulsi Gabbard is set to testify to the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence tomorrow and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence on Thursday. Okay, those are going to be interesting meetings. Both of the hearings will now focus on Kent's resignation letter, as Kent blamed Israel for the war in Iran and accused the Trump administration of being controlled by the Israeli lobby. This is, of course, a neo-Nazi talking point. When Kent ran for Congress, you'll recall he was exposed for associating with neo-Nazis, which cost him the election. She talked about Nick there. This is exactly what Tulsi Gabbard wanted, because she now can use the entire hearing to attack President Trump, and she will never criticize Joe Kent, who she always goes out of her way to protect. Kent, Gabbard, Carlson, Blumenthal, and Dan Caldwell all have the same mentality. This is why they pose such a threat to the Trump administration, because they are all consumed by an obsession with Israel and rabid, irrational Jew hatred. Everything with these people is viewed through the lens of Jews and Israel. The fact that they are responsible for sharing intelligence with the president and carrying out counterterrorism in the US should terrify every American, since they operate from a bias that protects Muslims and strives to portray Jews an enemy to America. No wonder why there have been 4 Islamic terror attacks in the United States of America over the last week. Wouldn't be surprised to see Tulsi Gabbard resign next. Maybe she will do it live during her hearing to make a scene. Actually, that'd be good. Last week, as I reported, which took a reported Amcon Mag, which took a sit on the advisory board of, published an article calling on DNA Gabbard to resign from her post at DNI to preserve herself and her principles to save her political career. This is all being planned with Tucker Carlson. It's been designed to attack the Trump MAGA legacy. Pay attention to who continues to protect Tucker. Dan Caldwell should not be allowed to join ODNI. That whole office is swarming with Jew haters and Democrats who loathe Trump. Once again, I've been proven right. It's exhausting being right so often. Myron Gaines, what's your thoughts on Laura Loomer's assessment of the situation?
You know what? I like Laura. I know me and her disagree on Israel, but she's always been good to me. I can always put my political, differences aside with someone. I think it's being called an adult. And yeah, I mean, dude, she's on. If you go after Trump, bro, like within an hour, she's gonna research her whole life, get the receipts, and then just drop a post and cook you. Like that's literally what she does. So the fact that she responded that quickly tells you something. And one thing I will give Laura credit for, she has a very, very long memory and deep understanding of American politics. So she's able to connect all the dots. Here's who was loyal to Trump. Here's who wasn't. This individual said never Trump in fucking 2016, May 1st of 2016. Like, she literally is an encyclopedia. So, like, if you go at Trump, within 60 minutes, she's going to fucking go after
Well,
him.
isn't she just repeating talking points from the Zionists? I mean, don't you have to consider that?
So
Yeah, no doubt.
Zionist,
I mean, I'm curious what happened to her face myself, but in any case.
Disavow, Laura. This is from Doc. I disavow his personal attack against you.
Hey, I remember when she was up in this space and with in this space, and I forget what drove us toward a simpatico with her, and she followed me, and then I started calling her out, and now I'm one of the proud members who've been blocked by Laura Loomer.
So she was part of these spaces when we did the ban the ADL movement and when we did the H1B stuff as well. So there's been a couple of times where she's been on the same page with us. But obviously, largely, we've been in disagreement. But Laura, this is Doc. He is an American. Don't get me deported. But just on that, Myron, do you think that it's more? I mean, the thing is, if you look at her entire kind of a thing, it's more about protecting Israel rather than Trump. Because I've seen it. I know this is the argument people make about Laura, but actually, Laura's consistent. She actually does allow people to attack Trump if it's not related to Israel. It's only when it comes to Israel, then she'll go all out crazy. And actually, if it's related to Israel, she'll attack Trump herself. So she attacked Trump, as an example, when he did not give the nomination to the Jewish guy, what's his name again? Jared Isaacman, and many of the other Jewish Zionists. And she pressured him into doing so. So I do think that right now, maybe in the past she was like that, but I think right now her number one thing is Israel.
Yeah, I mean, you could make that argument. I could definitely see where you're coming from with that. But yeah, she's like she basically, her and the president talk quite a bit. So it's like, she helps him with a lot of shit because obviously she remembers all the people that talk shit about him. And yeah, the Israel angle, obviously after October 7th, every Zionist has been like way more 10 toes down on Israel. But it is what it is. Besides Israel, I get along with her. It's the only thing we really disagree with. And I can always put my political differences aside.
Well, ultimately, isn't she a supporter?
Debates, so.
Ultimately, isn't she a supporter of the genocide? Isn't she a supporter of the Greater Israel Project? Isn't she exactly part of the problem with her media reach and convincing magnatards, to use Khaleesi's term, traditional Trump supporters, that everything's fine, that Israel isn't an unethical and immoral actor?
Well, keep in mind, Doc, we strongly disagree with her on that. We strongly disagree with her on that one.
Yeah, that's unforgivable for me. So
yeah. I respect free speech. So even if someone says something that I don't like, I do think it's really important to have those conversations or allow those people a platform to talk. But yeah, I mean, we clearly disagree.
That's okay. And we have the free speech to do so, and people can, land where they want on that issue. I have a lot of respect for you, Myron, even though we may disagree.
No, it's all good, bro. You know what I mean? Like me and you've had disagreements, right? And we're talking right now. So I think the adult thing is to always be able to have these conversations, whether I like it or not. I think free speech is super important.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I would say my audience very much are like they're here. They always hear people from different sides and different perspectives. They're very much like accustomed to hearing different ideas and
Yeah,
thoughts.
echo
I was
chambers
looking
are
at
gay.
the collab we did, Myron, with Prop. His entire audience just crashed out. Like they were all
Yeah,
unsubscribing, losing their minds. Whereas my audience were like, "Oh, awesome collab." So I think our
yeah,
audience is definitely the best. They're a lot more mature.
yeah. All of his supporters are like left-wing Free Palestine people. You know what I mean?
And then extreme Wahhabis, like, so he's got a mix of both. So yeah, and they were all crashed out because half of them were like, yeah, left wing, and then half of them were like, oh, Myron's a murtad, Myron's a
Yeah,
disbeliever.
it's Muslims
So
and women, bro, that are like his fans, like Muslims and women.
yeah, exactly. Whereas my audience, they were like loving the collaboration. So yeah, they're like a lot more mature. They're used to like distinct ideas. And I mean, we have Manco on here. People do rage people out, but he's like the #1 Trump supporter. So they have been. I get a lot of super chats because of Manco. So let's put it out. He's making me a lot of bag because he makes them rage out sometimes. But they love it. They love the distinct ideas and thoughts. But Myron, just coming back to the Iran situation, in terms of another important piece of news, I know we're talking about Joe Kent, is there is a possibility, I think it's highly probable, that Ali Larijani has also been killed. What's your thoughts on that?
So obviously the Israelis are going to parade this as a W, but the cold hard reality is he's kind of insignificant to the actual conflict. There's many people say, hey, he was like the supreme leader's right hand, blah, blah, blah. But we all know that Khamenei, before he died, pretty much had a dead switch ready to go. So whether the Israelis had killed him or not, the missiles are still coming.
I agree. He's basically, I mean, he used to be an ex-IRGC commander, but the best way of describing him now is he was more of like a spokesperson. So
Yep.
it's like a
An
victory.
advisor.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
I
basically
wouldn't
like
even call him an advisor. I mean, yeah, actually, you're right. He is kind of an advisor as well.
For those that are listening, he's basically like the functional equivalent of like a Steve Bannon to Trump during the first term.
Yeah, that's actually a great example. That's a
Yeah.
great equivocation.
When all the important decisions are being made, he's there and he gives his input. That's
Exactly.
his role.
Yeah, that's actually a great example. And what that means is like Steve Bannon would not be integral to the running of the United States of America in the same way
Precisely.
Ali Larijani won. So that's actually a great example.
Yeah, because I think Khamenei had all this stuff set up before he died because he expected this.
Okay, Myron, you've not been on the space for a few days. We have to ask you the #1 question.
Yeah.
Are you ready for it?
Sure.
Where's Bibi? Where's Bibi? Where's Ben Gvir?
Yo, I think he just dropped a video today, dude, bragging about the Larijani murder. Or sorry,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm waiting for the internet guys to tell us if
yeah. They're gonna say, Grok, is this AI?
But yeah, we've not heard from Ben Gvir as well. So I mean, let me just see what has anybody found any problems with this? Obviously, it's definitely green screen, right? It's not an actual office. Look at that flag's not real.
Yeah, someone's gonna say it's AI for sure.
I mean, I'm looking at the comment now. Someone already saying it's 97.2% AI generated.
Of course.
But the flag isn't real, so it's probably green screen. So he's probably like in some bunker. That's why I actually said that it's either that he's in some kind of underground bunker,
or on a plane.
So yeah, some people think plane, but I always think planes are a bit more risky because they can be shot down.
Well, it's it's one of those. It's like Air Force One, his equivalent.
Yeah.
Escort of fighter jets, all that stuff. So.
Yeah, that's we'll have to see about that one because I'm interested because even the Ben Gvir one, that was a bit weird. This guy's always out in public a lot. I think Netanyahu is in some kind of underground bunker, or as per what you said, maybe in the air in the plane, but he's definitely not. I mean, them flags are fake, so it's definitely a green screen that he's got behind him.
Yeah, I think he's alive, but the conspiracy people are always going to have something to say.
Yeah.
We just had a super chat come in, Sully.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want me to read it for you? I have it here.
Yeah, go for it.
The cool 2681 says, or 246, whatever. Could Joe Kent be controlled opposition, but a card they play in the future by having him call it Israel for this war now to gain legitimacy?
What do you think?
I would say it's too early to tell now. The next couple of days will kind of bring things to light, and I agree with what you wrote with Laura, where Tulsi Gabbard is going to have an enormous amount of pressure now at this point to resign as well.
I think it's interesting, right? Because I know this sounds like very conspiratorial, but after everything we've been through, there's always like question marks about people. I do have questions. I just appreciate what they do, so I don't really want to talk about this type of stuff. But because they are calling out Israel and they're in a mainstream media platform, so it does help out a lot. But I do have question marks about that entire circle in terms of like all the intelligence links and the fact that they always know things beforehand. And there's a lot of things that people like Joe Kent, Tucker Carlson, they're so integrated into intelligence that there is always that kind of small question mark about possibly this entire thing being a psyop. But that being said, at least at the moment they're calling out Israel, so that benefits us.
Yeah, no, anyone that talks about that topic, even if it's limited, and they got a big platform, it's still a huge help. Like, Candace Owens, Ian Carroll going on Joe Rogan, all Tucker's, awakening, all that stuff is huge for the movement.
Yeah, I agree. The more awareness you can create on these things, the better it is. Because remember, we were at this when we were getting in trouble for, you got demonetized. Obviously, I lost quite a lot of money. Like, we were all getting in trouble for doing this type of stuff beforehand. So now the fact that
we were getting cooked.
Yeah, now that there's a platform or an avenue to be able, that it's normalized. Like, it's normal to talk about it. So that's a big, distinct shift due to the Gaza genocide, and then maybe these bigger names coming up on board with it, especially on the right wing in America.
Yep. Prior to October 7th, dude, in America, you even said Jews, you're basically kiss your YouTube goodbye.
And actually, I do think it's an important point to have this quick question/conversation is that, like, you're basically far right, and then you've got many others like that, whether it's Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Nico, anybody I'm missing on the right wing. Anyway, all you guys who have been speaking out against the atrocities in Gaza, speaking out against Israel, speaking out against all of these things. For me, it's always been an important thing because the Zionists actually want this to become wanted this to become solely a left-wing issue. And the fact that it wasn't, the fact that it became a holistic issue and not just a left-wing issue, and you're actually seeing the right wing in America actually splitting, something that's not even happening in the Democrat Party, was always an important thing. And so what's your thoughts on this kind of far right, because you're a part of it, this far right movement within America that has pushed against Israel, Zionism, Jewish supremacy, and spoke out for the Palestinians, that it became a mainstream issue rather than what they wanted, where they were like, oh, left-wing Marxist Muslim issue.
Yeah, anyone that has a little bit of compassion for for the Palestinians and the right wing, all they say, oh, they're Muslims, who cares? It's like, you fucking retards, So that's the thing about the right wing. They're just so cucked by Israel. But guys, I'm gonna get off here in a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm taking up too much mic time. I know I see people with hands and stuff like that too, I think.
No problem. We always appreciate you coming on. I think the audience like you a lot, so always love having you on, Myron.
No, I appreciate that, brother. I'll see you guys later tonight. I'll be back on at like around 8:30 or so Eastern Standard, and we can go through. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of fucking developments over the next several hours.
There's a lot of developments. Also, I've done this joke.
Oh, last thing before I get out of here. Afghanistan, Pakistan. You guys saw that?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Bro, what the hell is Sully, can you break it down for what the hell's going on? I mean, that's your neck of the woods. Can you quickly give an overview of what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, Pakistan and Afghanistan have had tensions for a very long time. Obviously, Pakistan were in the wrong when it came to basically being a vassal for the United States of America, allowing them to use their military bases to attack Afghanistan during the illegal invasion of Afghanistan. And over time, obviously, Pakistan has been in cahoots with the United States of America. That being said, obviously, recently or in recent history, Pakistan's kind of been moving away from the United States of America a bit, not a huge amount. They're still in cahoots with them. With the Taliban, they were very much anti-America. But what happened is, and I do think that this was done on purpose. I know we can never prove it, but when America left Afghanistan, if you remember, they left billions of dollars of military equipment. I believe that that was left on purpose. I do believe the current government in Afghanistan is in cahoots with the US. And in addition to that, the Taliban came out and said they're supporting Israel and the United States of America in this war. The Pakistanis, on the other hand, actually helped the Iranians during the 12-day war. They allowed them to use their basically to hide their planes in and their military equipment in Pakistan. And in this specific war as well, you saw them come out quite strongly against the war against Iran, and basically came out attacking Zionism as well. So there does seem to be a big shift between these two countries where, if you get what I mean, where I think Afghanistan was the good guy first, and now I think they're the bad guy, and it seems like Pakistan's moving more towards the right position. And so their situation has escalated a lot. There's a lot of Afghanis or Taliban trying to attack Pakistan in various ways. But yesterday I did read that Pakistan bombed Afghanistan quite badly and possibly will have hit a hospital, which I think is horrific if they've done that. I haven't looked into it.
The beef.
Sorry.
So just so I can make sure I summarize. So the beef stems from Pakistan taking the U.S.'s side during the war on terror in Afghanistan.
I mean, the beef's always been there, but I'd say that was the big catalyst that caused the major issue. It wasn't just that they took their side; they literally allowed American military base, America, to use their country as a military base when they were bombing Afghanistan. So they were very much integral in that war. And yeah, that Pervez Musharraf guy, who was the military ruler at the time, was literally in bed with Trump. His claim was, oh, well, we were scared because America was saying, you're with us or against us, and we didn't want our country to be destroyed. So that's their perspective, but I just don't think that's good enough. But that was kind of the initiation of that.
Gotcha. All right. No, but thanks for the explanation, bro. But I'll be back on tonight when you guys run.
I appreciate it, Myron, as always. Guys, do give Myron a follow. Follow his what you call again, his Twitter. It's on here right now. Great guy, very close friend of mine. And make sure you follow him. It's Myron Gaines X, and actually it's Myron Gaines on everything. He is on YouTube. He streams every day. He's
Kick
on
is my main one.
Sorry?
No, I was gonna say Kick is like my main streaming platform.
Yeah, Kick as well. I was about to say that. Yeah, Kick as well. He streams that every day. It's Myron Gaines X. Amazing analysis, and he gives something which is unique and distinct in my view, which nobody else is able to give, which is that he was a former federal agent and he was also a former ICE, right? You were part of ICE formerly as well, right, Myron?
I was an agent with Homeland
Security.
So
yeah,
HSI, same shit as FBI, same exact shit.
HSI. So he gives a very kind of practical example of real life experience within that entire sphere. So I would definitely recommend you guys follow him. So yeah, do check out his Kick, Myron Gaines X, and his X. And it's actually Myron Gaines X on all platforms.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you greatly, Sully. I'll definitely be back later tonight because I'm sure you guys are gonna have updates.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll see. We'll see you later.
I'm gonna go pass out. Yeah. Later, guys.
Good one. Okay, check it a bit, Myron. That was Myron Gaines. Obviously, we appreciate him a lot. As I said, he is a very close friend of mine. We do spend a lot of time offline together as well whenever I'm in the United States of America. Luma, all of the mean things they said in this platform, it's Doc. His name is Doc Malibu. He is from a left-wing liberal woke state called California. So don't blame this poor, innocent immigrant who is merely traversing the United States of America to enjoy the country as an observer and purveyor of different civilizations and cultures. Oy vey, don't deport me. But anyway, let's get back into the space. Let's get back into the conversation. Great conversation with
Just come to California. We'll provide you a safe haven just like Whitey Bulger, the FBI Boston gangster who lived here in Santa Monica, very close to me, for 20 years without being discovered. So we got your back.
Doc, I take your the opportunity that you're providing, and I would say that you Californians, from my understanding as a foreigner, I assume that you Californians are very apt at hiding illegal immigrants, and thus I'm sure you've got somewhere you can house this guy.
Oh, they're all over. They got driver's licenses. They get $6,000 or $7,000 a month. You know, where me as a poor Social Security recipient only gets $1,700 a month from Social Security, and that's fucking it. So no, the immigrants. This is a free state for immigrants hiding from the law, no doubt.
So Laura, Laura, don't report me, Laura. But if you do, I may end up in California, housed amongst 20 Mexicans, and you won't be able to find me because they'll be everywhere. Anyway, okay, let me just let's hear from TT, and then I need to promote this video that's coming out in 4 minutes. But go ahead, TT, give us your thoughts. Jump in.
Hey, thank you so much for the mic. I really enjoyed the conversation with Myron. I was just going to add something that's very, similar to what you guys were talking about, which is, the spaces that we're in and the communities that we're a part of. We are amongst people that understand certain things and really understand the pain and destruction that comes from war. Not because we're directly involved, but because of our cultures or backgrounds or whatever it is, we've been turned, right? When you get someone on the other side, which this Joe Kent person has now said, I'm done, I'm getting out of this. I think we can't, just from a soft benefit standpoint, not even the hard benefits of what's happened, that is a game changer, because now you've got someone on the other side that is so much harder to penetrate, as in you can't, this has a domino effect, right? Like a lot of what we share, if someone's on the fence, they will see our content, they would see sort of the protest or something, and it will have an impact on them. But then when you've got someone that's far right, these things don't have an impact on them. They just see it as, we don't understand these people, we disagree with them, it's nonsense. They would just basically dismiss it. But when it's someone on their side and they've sort of turned, I think that's a lot harder to deny. And that is a game changer. I know we have conversations about, the technicality of things, and we have really sophisticated conversations here around, war and how decisions are made. But something like this, I think, will definitely have an impact on the communities that support this, and also the people that have never considered that actually what we're doing is wrong. Because it seems obvious to us. I think Myron said it. It does seem obvious to us because either we have a background that has taught us something, or we know people that have, turned our opinion against something. But on the other side, they don't really have that. And it's interesting because the first person that has sort of turned their back on this is actually someone that's been impacted by war. And I think that's the biggest differentiator, because usually people support things from the comforts of their homes because they don't actually understand what it means to go and kill and to cause destruction and to bring death to a country, a nation, a neighborhood, whatever it is, right? They just see it as news on their phone, whereas this guy has obviously lost his wife through war. And I think that just goes to show that, a lot of the people that support this are just completely out of touch. And the one person that understands the impact is someone that's actually been impacted himself. So I think this is a huge win. It's going to have a domino effect. And actually, I think it's a huge win for humanity, for someone so deep rooted in that sort of environment to say enough is enough. This is ridiculous. And hopefully we'll see more of that.
Yeah, TT, I vehemently agree with you there. And this is why I would say that I've always thought big picture, and sometimes people within our community or various communities are very emotionally driven and have always tried to make this into a partisan issue. And one of the things I did in 2023 when I became quite well known on social media was to go out of my way to become friends with a lot of these far right guys who most people would crash out just by the mere association. And even now I do get a lot of hate for being friends with them. People like Nick Fuentes, me and him became friends in 2023. We've chilled together offline. And a big part of the reason why, not only because I like him, but that's a separate point, but a big reason why I pushed that was because I thought I don't. If this turns into what the Zionist lobby, I realized and identified at that time, the Zionist lobby want to make this into a left-wing issue. And this isn't a left-wing issue. This is a humanity issue. This is freeing America from Israeli control issue. And so that's why I went out of my way to not become, it wasn't like a kind of Machiavellian thing, but why I thought it was important to support people like Nick, people like Myron, people like Sneeko, people I was attacked a lot about all of them. I think less so now with Sneeko. I think people like him a lot more, but initially they never used to like him either. And this was the big reason why, because I understood that the only way to penetrate the world was to bring the far right on board. And so I agree with you. Like, Joe Kent is, again, a right wing guy. He very much is part of the establishment. And so one should obviously, like, I'm just being honest with you guys because you're my audience. And look, I have got a few very minor question marks, but I put them aside because I think the greater thing or the greater benefit is this. And so I agree with you a lot on that. And that's why in 2023, I was like I know I was the first one to bring up this whole Muslim Christian alliance. And now a lot of people are talking about it, but I was literally the creator of it. Me and Nick, our picture went viral when I was like Muslim Christian alliance, and they all start crying over it. The whole of social media before October the 7th, when you weren't really allowed to have those conversations. So I agree with what you're saying, but just before we continue this conversation, guys, I gotta do a plug. So there's a tweet in the nest, and remember, it's just breaking news. A breaking news video. It's Joe Kent resigns over Iran. He said Israel controls the United States of America. We shouldn't minimize the importance of that. And so, guys, what I want you to do is open it up. I wonder how many legends are already on there. 21. Oh my God, you guys are such Zios. Guys, open it up in a separate tab. Let me quickly send this in the link in the YouTube. And open it up in a separate tab. Yeah, guys. Guys, I get to hear myself twice. Let me just put it in there. Open it up in a separate tab, and reshare it, review it, let everybody know about it. Let's try and get as many people in here as possible. We've got quite a few collaborations today, just to let you know. I posted it on the YouTube. But in the meantime, everyone come across there. Let me tell you the collaborations. I need to go to the YouTube page because I can't even remember most of them. The collaborations we got today is 1 p.m. Sergeant Brian McGuinness, 4 p.m. Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar, 5 p.m. U.S. Army Ranger Greg Stoker, 10 p.m. Ryan Dawson, and 11 p.m. Rathbone. So we've got quite a lot of... Your boys will be so tired, man. Your boy is going to be so tired. But we've got so many collaborations coming on, so watch out for that. We got those, but in the meantime, before those collaborations, do me a favor, open up the tab and watch the video. And I'm gonna read the people who are in the comments of that video in a second, who are supporting what we're doing and are allowing us to do what we do. And that is this.
Did you see Trump's statement on True Social from 20 minutes ago?
No, what did he say?
Just saw it. So, this is quote, the United States has been informed by most of our NATO quote unquote allies that they don't want to get involved with our military operation against the terrorist regime of Iran in the Middle East. This despite the fact that almost every country strongly agreed with what we were doing, that Iran cannot in any way, shape, or form be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. I am not surprised by their action, however, because I always considered NATO, where we spend hundreds of billions of dollars per year protecting these same countries, to be a one-way street. We will protect them, but they will do nothing for us. In particular, in a time of need, fortunately, we have decimated Iran's military. Their navy is gone, their air force is gone, their anti-aircraft and radar is gone, and perhaps most importantly, their leaders at virtually every level are gone, never to threaten us or our Middle Eastern allies or the world again because of the fact that we have had such military success. We no longer need or desire the NATO countries' assistance. We never did, capital letters. Likewise, Japan, Australia, or South Korea, in fact, speaking as President of the United States of America, by far the most powerful country anywhere in the world, in red, bold print. We do not need the help of anyone. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. It's a true social post.
Interesting, interesting indeed. And what's and we'll break that down in a second. But yeah, it looks like he is not getting the support that he thought he was gonna get. He is not getting what he thought he was gonna get. And by the way, guys, there is some missiles heading towards Tel Aviv as well. There is a bit of boom boom about to go off, so watch out for that. Just before that, let me just go to the YouTube video. How come we only got 40 people? I think people are not bothered anymore, to be honest. And I was thinking maybe we should even continue the 24 hours, and maybe this is a good. I was 50-50 about it, but maybe this is a good indicator that people are not bothered anymore. But just thanks to Justin, who is in the chat. Appreciate you. Thanks to Joe Sota, who is also in the chat. Joe says, wow, Tulsi needs to resign also. JFK needs to resign. JFK is not going to resign. He's controlled by the Israeli lobby. He's controlled by the Zionists. What else have we got? Yeah, that's it. That's the only comment in there. Nobody's in there. Okay, guys. Yeah, guys, open a separate tab. What day is it today anyway? It's Tuesday. Open a separate tab, guys. Make sure. Okay, just for, Public wrote a comment in the main comment said, "This is huge. Surely Joe must know information that is critical to this conflict. Props to him for highlighting Israel as being the ones who are pushing this war." Oh my God, Public, what an articulate comment. On the ball as well. Explain to these guys, bro. Explain to these guys why you went on there and made the comment.
Guys, the reason why I went on there to make the comment is because Suleiman works night and day to put these videos out and do collaborations to keep us informed and give you a different perspective that isn't mainstream. And without this group, Simon, Sully, and their hard work 24/7, we wouldn't know. That's the honest truth. Or we'd be just being fed goy slop, as they say these days. You'd be getting fed a mainstream narrative that has not benefited us, the people. And writing a comment, liking the video, and watching it actually pushes their work in the algorithm, thus making it more. It makes it. It actually gives them a reason to continue their work because they have taken huge financial hits to highlight the genocide and highlight the war on Iran. And that's the least we could do. So Suleiman could be out there making millions doing other things, but instead he chose to keep you guys informed. And that's why I do my part on pushing his work.
Hilarious. Yeah. I'm just reading some of these comments. Someone wrote, W. Suleiman, this is from Fatima Groiper, and then Ethan says, hashtag don't deport Sully. Yeah, guys, don't deport me. Right, guys, I need to end the stream and restart the YouTube stream. I know it's kind of annoying, but I need to do it because I've got a few interviews lined up, and you won't be able to see the interviews because this was set up, the stream was set up elsewhere. I don't know how to do it where you can do it from a different location. So if you can